Hey, we are live. It is Sunday, May 14th. Happy Mother's Day to, well, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you will probably be past Mother's Day, but happy Mother's Day regardless. And if you're watching on YouTube, timestamps will be in the description, of course, so you can click there. Other than that, I will just say hey to everybody showing up here. How's it going? Give me 1 second here. Happy Sunday. How's it going? Um, how's everybody doing? Hi. What's going on? I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom. Awesome. How is it? The game looks fun. Love the shirt. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't usually wear polos to the lives, but maybe I'll start changing that and wear more polos here. Hey, Stacy. How's everybody doing today? Sending much love and gratitude for spending time with you all. Thank you. You too. Good to see you again. Lucky. Hugs from Iceland. Hugs back. Thank you so much. Got here at the beginning for once. Yeah, the new 3 p.m. start time is making it easier for everyone. So, well, I know there's some people who are probably morning people and all that, so I don't know about everybody, but catching it live before work. Glad you started doing it later due to the time difference in Hawaii. Awesome. I'm so glad it worked out for you because it is working out better for me too. So that's awesome. It's cool to see that that's working out. Hey, Andy Pandy Pie. Good to see ya. How are you doing? I'm always up around 4. No judgment. Some of us just are doing it differently, and that's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so we're going to dive into the collective reading now, because I'm getting to dive into that now. So, going to give me 1 second. I'm going to give myself 1 second to kind of settle in here, because I had a marker, and it's here. Okay. So, I guess we're just going to jump into it. So, fully for the highest good. This is just meant to be for everyone who's watching it live, everyone who's watching it on YouTube here. So it's just a collective reading, timeless, of course. So I've got channel messages that came through ahead of time from my spirit guides, the angels, and source, and my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good as we roll through these. And of course, I'm going to be spending some time probably to just hang out with chat more in between some of the readings because that was fun last week. So we'll try that out as well. So they'd like me to start, so I am going to start. The first thing that came through ahead of time was, let me see if they want me to start with the channel messages, because a lot of the time they'll jump in a different message to start with besides this here. They're actually going to start with a paper airplane, interestingly enough, and they're giving me the word reroute, and they're showing a paper airplane flying through the air, and this wind gust kind of takes this paper airplane onto a different course or a trajectory here. I feel like that's honestly been happening for a while for a lot of you, is what I'm getting as a channeled message for you guys. Let's see what they'd like to say to clarify this more deeply. One, I feel kind of called to say, like, let the winds kind of carry you where they're going to at the moment. Kind of like a paper airplane doesn't have too much choice regarding where the winds take it when it's flying through the air, because it doesn't really have a motor typically, or like rudder steering. Well, I guess planes don't have like rudder steering perchance, or oh my gosh, perchance, that's not the correct usage of perchance, but you know what I'm saying, what I'm trying to get out of my mouth here. So one, I'd really just be open to where the universe is guiding you right now. Like, a lot of you are being rerouted, and potentially in surprising ways that you don't expect in the next month or so here, or perhaps month or two here. Of course, it's timeless, so if you're seeing it later on like YouTube or something, it's just the next month from whenever you're seeing it. So I would just be kind of open to that right now. There's a lot of, I mean, I know there's like a literal change of seasons around now for a lot of people. Like we're, at least in the northern hemisphere, we're moving from spring to summer pretty soon, like next month and all that. But there's also an overall change of seasons is what I'm getting for everybody, here especially. So things are going to be changing in your life as well to correspond with that. You know, what's the best way to say this? As you are probably familiar, like a lot of the things that happen in the different seasons like are just a little bit different. Sometimes there's different players, like, you know, the bees come out for these seasons and then they're gone for the other seasons, or the spiders or the other bugs, or certain plants bloom in certain seasons and they're kind of chill in certain other seasons, you know, to put it in a weird way. So it's going to be something like that in life as well. I feel like I need to sit with this a little bit more, though. Sorry for the pauses. I just want to make sure I'm getting the right messages for you guys here that are going to be helpful and accurate and all that. So what's the main thing that would be highest and best for us to get to here? I mean, you're going to have a change of players, some of you potentially, a change of surroundings, some of you, just a lot of different things. Of course, changing is, I guess you could argue they always are, but it just might be a bit more blatant, you know, with this kind of change of seasons. Energies that I'm getting are happening for everybody right now. So now we're going to start with the first message that came through ahead of time. They just gave me the phrase upgrade season. So the collective is headed to, this collective is headed to another upgrade season. So there are going to be a lot of upgrades for everyone. And they also said summer, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be winter, I suppose. But summer is going to be a big upgrade season for this crowd. So like June, July, August, maybe even all the way into the winter is something I'm getting. Or I guess in the southern hemisphere, it'd be all the way to the summer. So, but there are a lot of big upgrades potentially like starting. For some of you, you've already been upgrading and you might be wrapping up some upgrades as well. You know, that could be happening as well. But I feel like there's going to be a lot upgrading around you in life and a lot upgrading within you. And, you know, each of you is on a different track. So these upgrades could be within, externally, or both, is what I'm getting to say with this. So, but just keep in mind you're heading into this. Like we just had the eclipses, so that can be spurring upgrades and downloads and things like that. So we're just kind of still in this energy and we're heading into a new season of this is what I'm getting. So that's pretty interesting. And, you know, some of you might think that you're already very upgraded or really upgraded and in tune. It's probably going to go deeper is what I'm getting. So heads up, I guess, on that one. And you don't have to force this, by the way. I would kind of let this happen and see what shows up to coincide this. I don't feel like there's anything you need to do to like force this to happen or anything like that for those of you who are like antsy-pantsy to like make things happen or anything like that, which is just a few of you, but a good handful is what I'd say. Next, I do get this message here and there, but I guess it's just a continuation of this, or it's just we're hitting a new level of this, but new things are grounding in, so it makes sense with an upgrade season, but it's going to be happening all year is what I'm getting. Like new things are kind of grounding in for people. And I almost feel like, I know we're kind of on different paths and different things will be happening for different people, you know, across the time. But what I'm kind of getting generally for you guys is 2023 is like the ramp up to even more new things grounding in 2024. Or it could also be clearing the path for new things to come in 2024. So you're going to, I mean, you could have new things ground in any year, of course, but what I'm getting for you guys now is you're going to have new things grounding in this year, but it's like ramping up to 2024, which is like either a whole new level of it or more, or you get a lot of new things 2023. It just kind of solidifies more in 2024 is what I'm getting. So, and if you're watching this timeless, like way in the future, which I don't feel like it's going to be as many people, just take the time frames I'm saying, and I'm posting, you know, I'm filming this around like May, and just apply those time frames for whenever you're seeing it. So like, you know, the next year, the next couple of years, things like that. So, that's usually how timeless works. At least when I'm facilitating readings, typically, there might be some things that break the rules, but next, anything else that we need to clarify with that before we move on? Because they're telling me to clarify here. let me sit with it for just a second here. So really, another thing they're kind of clarifying is like some of you guys, or a lot of you guys, don't really expect these changes is kind of what I'm getting, or maybe even some of these new things that are grounding in. You see a trajectory and you're like expecting it to play out that way. And for like a small percentage of you, it will, is what I'm getting. And like, that's fine. But for a greater percentage, there might be some surprises with how the new things come in. Or if you think back to the paper airplane, metaphor or analogy they used for the earlier part of this reading, like there's winds kind of blowing these paper airplanes in different trajectories. Things might change more than you expect, or ground something in that you don't expect, or remove a player you were expecting to be there for a long time or for life or something like that. I'm not saying you're going to lose your wife or husband, by the way, so you don't have to freak out about that. But it could even be like, maybe you thought you were going to be in a certain house for the rest of your life, and then like something happens, you have to move, like things like that. So, and I know, what's the best thing to say here? I know sometimes things play out a little bit differently than you might expect with some of these messages. So, I'm always trying to get the best direct thing I can say to really, for the highest good, spell it out for you, and the highest and whatever it would be for the highest good. But that's kind of what I'm getting to say with all that. So let's move on to the next. Anything else I need to say here? It was interesting because the next thing they're showing me here, I feel like it's related to kind of what we were just talking about, but they're giving me the phrase ground zero here. This next message might not be for all of you, but they're kind of showing that for some of you, there's been like a lot of destruction recently, like a lot of like flattening of the grounds, or tamping flat of the earth, if you will, to build something new. So, if you've had a lot of destruction in your life, you're just going to have something bigger and better built is what I'd say. And it's going to take different times for different ones of you. Like some of you, it might take a little bit of time, of course, but it will happen. So be patient is what I'd say. Next, they showed me an alligator, and this was kind of an interesting one because they gave the word territorial, kind of like how alligators can be territorial, I'm pretty sure. But the message was, don't be too vicious. Maybe not all of you need this reminder, by the way, but here's the reminder. Don't be too vicious with people. Like, try to reach an understanding before you bash people over the head, like with your words, or before you're too mean with people, if you feel like that has been you, or if something kind of tempts you into that in the next week or so. There can be a lot of fiery energy right now as people transform, and as so many things happen in the overall collective. And I know there's a bit of a dichotomy because this is a collective reading, but it's for like this collective. It's for the collective that will be seeing this. And there might be messages that have to do with the whole collective, everybody on Earth and stuff like that. And I guess the astronauts off Earth, whatever. But I was kind of talking about more the whole collective with that last bit I was trying to get to. The other part here is like, for others, if others are vicious with you, walk away. Like, that's kind of your sign to potentially walk away from that like situation or circumstance. You don't need to deal with that. Your boundary can just be walking away is what I'm getting with that one, if feasible. But I'm just kind of getting, you don't need to put up with that. And of course there can be nuance in different circumstances. But for these circumstances, what I'm hearing is most of you, if someone's like vicious with you, you'll be able to walk away, or, delete the comments or whatever it is. Next, they kind of segued into crocodile, was the next thing they showed me. So alligator and crocodile. And they kind of talked about the crocodile's, sharp teeth, and they kind of just furthered the message, honestly. Where it was like, you don't really have to put up with people's crap at all. Not my typical line of thinking, but what I'm hearing is like, sometimes we're taught that we do for some reason. Like, we are supposed to just kind of grin and bear it or swallow it. We can, it doesn't have to be polite, but we can, of course, as you are probably familiar and have heard people talk about, set boundaries. We can, whether politely or, however you feel called to in the moment, we can tell people not to speak to us in a certain way, or or you can be like, hey, if this keeps happening or you keep doing this, I'm probably going to walk away. Like I'm going to walk away. Like I can't do this. There was a quick message with Crocodile as well as about defending what's yours. It was kind of interesting because it almost seems like a well, let me just sit with it for a second and see if there's like a clarification on that one before we move on. I think sometimes there's kind of an idea, and I know this is not going to be all of you who are dealing with this, but there's kind of an idea that like the polite thing to do is to let people walk all over us, or people might even confuse kindness with being walked all over, but that's not necessarily true. Of course, it's like a message where it's okay to defend yourself, if that makes sense. And that you don't necessarily have to be mean and vicious while doing that. Like you can be kind and, and be strong and have boundaries. So I don't know why I'm talking about this, but some of you might need to like defend yourself a bit more in like some of your like personal circumstances. Like what I'm seeing is like relationships, even like with loved ones, and they're showing me different circumstances like family, maybe romantic relationships for some of you, friendships even. There's also like, what's the best way to say this here? What they're saying is like, that's kind of the main message they were getting to with that is what I already said. So I might wrap that message up kind of there and move on here because I feel like I got it. So they're saying I got it. Next here, I'm also just getting the words you're going to be okay, like probably regarding that topic, most of you. So next message here, they show me a dragon. They gave this message that divine guidance is rising, and they clarified it's like for paths and people. I've been getting this message in like different ways over like the past while, for a lot of different readings, but they just said more magic with how things work out. So with divine guidance rising for both paths and people, I think there was a channel that I did for one of these lives at the end, where my guides are kind of talking about how like as you become more divinely guided and bring that energy to you in your energy fields, it's almost like it brings that to your path and the things around you. So your path itself and your life itself become more divinely guided, not just you. And I think they were talking about like, yeah, there's like the direct correlation, like as you're divinely guided, you make more divinely guided choices. I'm going to drink some water here in a second. And so of course, like, yes, it becomes more divinely guided, but it's also like the way things work out is like divinely guided, or the way your path gets steered is like divine. Like there's like divine guidance that plays out through everything, maybe not, probably everything around you, depending on the level you're at, but as well, like kind of directly to your path. So both paths and people are becoming more divinely guided, and it's becoming more blatant as well. Maybe for some of you, it's been a little bit confusing, or you've been a bit confused, or like, oh, was that divine guidance, or was that something I need to work on, or was that divine protection, or did I just screw that up, or something like that? I feel like most of it was like divine guidance and divine protection, but it's going to become more blatant, like what's divine guidance, and like that your path is divinely protected for, for most of you, or all of you, sorry, they're clarifying and all of that. So you're just going to see how things are divinely guided a bit more, and the divine's plan through all things, and you're going to feel like things are less up to chance and more up to divine guidance is what I'm getting as well. As what I'm getting to say is as all things are. So that's kind of what I'm getting with that one, especially as you get more connected, in tune, your magic rises and can kind of flow out and change your life through your actions and words and how you operate. That's going to change things on you, of course, on your life scale, but also on a collective level. So I'd definitely be moving towards that in whatever ways you feel called. It's going to change things. Next, quick message. They showed me a tree and said, get in nature if you are overwhelmed, just as some quick advice for anyone who's overwhelmed, I suppose. At least in the northern hemisphere, it's nice because things are starting to warm up, so it's easier to get outside and be in some nicer weather. So that's good for that northern hemisphere people is what I'd say. But I just also just kind of get a message it's time to get out in nature more for many of you. And if you've been neglecting that or putting that on hold, it's probably time to stop neglecting that and putting that on hold. It's just helpful. So just keep that in mind. And for some of you, that's like the stillness you've been waiting for, is getting out in nature more. I'll tell you guys about this thing as well, because they're telling me to tell you about it. And I know I talked about this like one of the last few lives as well. And I'm going to tell you about the whole thing because they're telling me to. But there's this book called Energy Speaks by Lee Harris, who's a channeler. And I like a lot of his work. But there was this one portion of the book, and I know a lot of you have been here for me probably when the last time I talked about it. So bear with me for the people who weren't here for it. But there's this one portion of the book I must have read it like sometime when I first got the book, but I just didn't remember it at all. And I don't think I ever did it. But I flipped back to it like last month or a couple months ago. And it was this whole thing about like self-love and this like self-love challenge that his guides brought through. And it was literally like, you take 3 hours a week and you can schedule it however you need to. You know, you could do 30 minutes 6 days a week, or just 3 hours in a day, 1 hour for 3 days out of the week, whatever. And you pretty much do whatever you want for your self-love thing. And they had some, some kind of stipulations or some ideas to, for what to do, such as like getting out in nature, going on walks, being creative, painting. But like there were some things that they recommended, like turn off your phone, and it's supposed to be time just for yourself as well. So it's like you're not necessarily out with people who stress you out. It's like you're out in nature by yourself, or you're painting alone in a room quietly, or whatever you can do. And the whole thing is it's a self-love challenge. So you're literally just scheduling this time. You're showing up for yourself and taking this time. And like some of the things they talked about showing up would be like, one, you'll get like realizations that you need for like your journey and your path, because you'll be taking that time out for yourself. You won't be wrapped up. I'm kind of paraphrasing and adding in things I'm getting, so it's not exactly what they said, but like you'll be getting realizations for yourself. You won't be as wrapped up in other people's energies. You also might have like stuff and like emotions and things from times you didn't love yourself, or like situations where you didn't have that energy around you come up, to be released as well. And also the other thing I noticed is like when they don't want me to get into that, so I'm not going to say it. Never mind. But I thought that was interesting. It didn't show up for me when I owned this book for like years until that moment. But when I tried this, I definitely noticed all that stuff that they talked about show up. And also like I just noticed that energy of self-love was there more, but maybe that's something to consider trying, or something similar to that with this get out in nature message that they're bringing through. That is kind of why they had me talk about it, along with this message, is what I'm getting is like, that could be helpful just to get out in nature more, take more time for yourself. Maybe try 4 hours if you're already doing the 3 is kind of what I'm getting, and like up that kind of self-love quotient and get that intention rolling and see how that changes things. So that's what I'm getting to say with that. So we'll move on. So they show me the tiger is like the last message that came through ahead of time, but as comes through for like every live, elephant is kind of also showing up here. But with tiger spirit animal here, they gave me the word power, and it was a message to be in your power. Don't let people nudge you out of it, especially as you're like growing in your power is what I'd say. Let me see what else I'd like to say with this one. Give me 1 second to sit with it. I don't know. What I'm hearing for this crowd is there's a lot of temptation to give your power away in some instances. Like for the example I'm hearing is like, maybe you hear someone talking about how the world works, but it's maybe it's not even like spiritual. It's some dude on the news or something like that. It's something like lower is kind of what I'm getting. Then maybe you'd typically approach it as, or maybe what you're called to or should be moving towards. And maybe it's tempting to be like, oh yeah, I guess that is how the world works. And then Spirit's like, wait a second, we just gave you like this example over the past few years of how it doesn't work like that. Like, why are you going along with, you know, what CNN says? Like, I'm like, what are you doing over here? So, it's kind of important that you're acknowledging yourself and your intuition, what you're getting, your experiences, and your power in your situations, instead of just relinquishing your power to another regarding your choices, you know, what's for you, what you feel called to, etc. It's just important that you're doing that is kind of what's what I'm getting, I guess, with this one. I feel like there's more to this though, and I feel like it actually goes a little bit deeper here. So I'm going to stay with it just a second longer and see what else you'd like to say about this one for you guys. I don't know. I'm just getting there might be a lot of people out there that would like you to give your power away to them and just don't do it. Whether it's spiritual teachers, whether it's parents, whether it's friends, whether it's the news. I feel like, honestly, when it comes to this topic, like, no one really benefits from it in the long term. It might seem like it in the short term, like, oh, this will make, you know, Jill happy if I give my power away and let them tell me what to do with my life, or who to date, or, you know, how, whatever. But I just wouldn't do it. You know, it's not worth it. And some of the most painful lessons are going to be like, probably going to be you giving your power away if you do that, or if you've done that. In part just because it's avoidable, honestly. It's like, and sometimes that's how you learn, but for some reason, what I'm getting is like, it's very interesting how sometimes those are some of the most like painful lessons that you might kick yourself over. And I'm not saying to kick yourself or to beat up on yourself. It's just kind of what I'm getting to say with this one. So, I don't know. You probably get it, but don't give your power away in your choices or regarding people, how the world works, spirituality, any of that. It's tempting sometimes to see people in like a higher position than you, or I'm getting like a weird example, like, you know, even like someone who has like 1,000 million, I'm being a little bit ridiculous with the example, but 1,000 million followers, and they're just saying that something that's blatantly like not true, you know, and then it's tempting to be like, oh, well, they have 1,000 million followers. And what I'm kind of getting to say is like, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. You know, maybe some people bought some of those followers, or, you know, there's a lot of different things that could play into that. But really the recommendation is to own your power, is what I'd say. Should I talk about this next part here? Okay, that's what I'm getting for that reading. So I hope that was helpful, and do whatever was for that is good for you guys regarding the collective reading. We're gonna move on to the fire signs in just a second. So give me 1 second just to, actually, there's one more message, because Elephant did show up. That's right here. So what's the message with the Elephant before we part ways here? So very interesting, but they're showing like the footprints of an elephant as it kind of tramples along its pathway. And the message is like, you guys are going to leave your mark. At least many of you, in some way, shape, or form. Maybe some of you are afraid of not leaving your mark. I feel like that's just a few of you. But you're going to get your opportunities to leave your mark, or have an impact for the highest good, if that's something you feel called to. For others of you, for others of you, what's up with the others of you? Give me 1 second here. You know, you're going to have more of a mark than you realize, even if you're just working with a few right now. And I'm not going to limit how many you can work with or how many people you can work with in the future or anything like that. But maybe you're like a newer practitioner or something, and you really only have like 2 or 3 clients or something like that. It doesn't mean your mark won't be felt. And, you know, as you grow, and if you're meant to work with a lot of people, of course, like, you will, and, you know, you can expand how that looks in the physical. And again, I'm not going to limit you. But they're giving me this message of how even if you just help or facilitate or are part of changing just a few people's lives, or spirit working through you to change people's lives, however it works, for you, that can, like, changing just the lives of a few can change the lives of many, of course, through the ripple effect of that, through how, those people impacting people, through the work you've facilitated or been a part of for them. So don't limit yourself, and don't think you're a small, helpless person. I know this isn't going to be all of you, but for those of you who feel like you're only working with a few, don't feel like a small, helpless person just because you're working just with a few people right now or something like that. It's like bigger than you realize is what I'm getting to say. But for others of you, I feel like you'll either like build something that will leave a mark, or for many of you, you'll leave more of a mark than you realize. So just keep working on yourself. If you feel called to keep working on that. Yeah, I don't know. That's the message. So one more thing, though. There's just a message that there's less standing in your way than you realize. And of course, like if you're running into like roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, one, sometimes that's redirection. If the universe just keeps blocking you from something, it's either like not time for that thing, or you should try going a different direction. It reminds me of a story that someone I know has, where like they were trying to like apply. I think they were trying to like apply for an internship and apply for an internship and apply for an internship and apply for an internship. And they kept trying to go to this specific like company or direction. And they were like in tears because like nothing was working out. And it was like, I think it was like one of the last days that they had to do this maybe. And they just like walked into a place at one point that I think was kind of either unrelated or just like slightly different than they were expecting. And like they like had a conversation with someone, and I don't even think they were like looking for an internship, and they just like hired them on the spot for the internship or something, like, oh, why don't you just come here? It's like, what? So when they went like the different direction with it, and tried something different. So, but that's not really what I was talking about, unless some of you needed that message. But you probably understood what I was talking about. So I'm going to close it there. Hopefully I wrapped that up and like talked enough to what I was talking about before I got to that story. And if I didn't, I apologize, but hopefully it was enough. I'm gonna just, yeah. Okay. So, yes. I hope that was helpful. I'm just gonna take a quick water break and just literally saw when you had a last message. The elephant stomping around. First time I have almost. Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. Awesome as heaven. Happy Mother's Day, moms. Thanks, Lainey, for reminding me. I said it like right when I started filming for this, but that was before anyone showed up. That was for like, I mean, to give the full story, when I start filming, I start talking right away because people who watch this on YouTube, like the replay, are going to be like seeing me. And I realized it's helpful if I'm engaging. It probably looks better if I'm engaging with them right away instead of just sitting here like twiddling my thumbs waiting for people. So I said Happy Mother's Day at the beginning, but no one was here for that yet live. So Happy Mother's Day to the mothers who work hard and provide the best for their kids or do their best. Of course, you guys are awesome. And may Spirit bring whatever blessings your way would be for your eyes good today and all days regarding your motherhood, for sure. So, because you guys do have an important task. And it's, of course, more impactful than you realize, as per the last thing we were talking about, funny enough, for moms too. Yes. Of course. Yeah. I'm not a mom, obviously. But the day isn't necessarily about me, is it? Could have been in a past life. True. True. What's today's beverage? You got like, I'm sorry, the emojis are small from where I stand. It looks like tea. Very cool. You're our mom now. For the day, I don't know. It's funny as a joke. I also don't want to. Yeah, I don't know. That's funny. Oh, these longer water breaks are nice because I get to drink more water, and that's helpful. Oh, but my beverage was coffee and water, so that's what I'm drinking. Okay, we're gonna probably start the fire signs soon in just a second here. I'll give it one more second in case anyone wants to say anything in chat here. Okay, we're gonna drink one more swig of coffee, and then we'll just jump in. It was so awkward that when I was wished Happy Mother's Day from a man, I said you too. It happens. It happens. I understand, Carrie Russell. Ooh, a triple fire here. All right. Well, this reading will be for you. Yeah, that's one thing about the sun, moon, rising kind of deals here is like some people get like one reading, other people get like two or three. So I understand that dichotomy is, I mean, it is what it is. Maybe I'll find a better way to facilitate this in the future where it's a bit more, spread even. But for now, I'm just working with what's been working. So, fire earth there. Okay, right on. Did the start time of the lives change? Yes. Thanks for asking, White Butterfly. Good to see you, by the way. I'm starting at 3 p.m. North American Central Time now. So I do start later than I used to. So that is something that's happened. I know I kind of gave a heads up last week with it, but I should probably maybe give a heads up before the live and like the TikTok stories, like, more before like every live for a while, maybe just to give a heads up for more people. So we're going to start the fire signs reading. So if you have a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising, this is meant to be for you when you see it. And do you go through all the elements in lives? I sure do. I sure do. So for the fire sign, sun, moon, or rising, of course, just the full spiel. I channel through messages ahead of time from my spirit guides, the angels, and source. And my spirit guides, the angels, and source bring through any additional information that's for your highest good as we roll through these. Tuned in just in time. Perfect. Good timing. So where should we start here? So here's a weird message. The first thing they're kind of showing and talking about is they're showing like coins, and usually this represents money, like these gold coins, and they're kind of trickling from the sky. And the message was like, it might seem, what's the best way to say this here? For some of you, it might seem like your blessings are withheld. For some of you, this literally is about money, or maybe even for most of you, this is literally about money. But I'm kind of getting a weird message like it's not, because there's like these storm clouds and it's like supposed to rain money or something like that. Or you've been like waiting for this to happen or something like that. But it's like, it's almost like the storm clouds are kind of like holding it back or like holding it in almost a little bit. Excuse me. So the money will flow at the right time is what I'm getting. Or maybe there are just like a few more things that need to happen before this flows in, whether it's blessings or money for you is kind of what I'm getting, but it will come in at the right time. For any of you who felt like you had blessings coming in and they were withheld, like they are coming, and they are there behind the scenes. It's just, one thing I'm getting for it is like, what's the right timing for them? Like it does have to do with like a timing for some of you. And for others of you, this is a very strange message. Like it's there, but you don't realize it, but you will realize it. So very strange, but And I'm not saying it's like going to be disappointing necessarily, where it's like, oh, it's here, but it's not, but it is. That means it's disappointing. It's like, I don't feel like it's going to be disappointing. I'm not sure what's going on with this message, but hopefully that all makes sense for starters. And I don't know. And if there's more clarification, I'm just going to ask that it comes through at a later time. I'm just kind of shooing something away from someone. So hopefully that makes sense, and I'll ask for more clarification if it's for the highest good to bring that through, later on with this reading. But the first message that came through ahead of time here, and they're switching it up again. They're showing me an eagle, actually. There's a lot of different things they're showing me. So at first it was an eagle, and this is going to be, should I get into this? I'm sorry for the stop and go here. I'm going to ask that this flows a bit better here. What's the best thing to get into here? Okay, for others of you, there is like a blessing of like freedom that's coming in that has been withheld. Like maybe even some of you feel like you've been like teased by the universe in some way, because they're showing the universe. It's a representation of like source, God, the universe. It's like the hand of God. He's like holding the stick with like a like a line on it, and on the stick is like it's like a carrot on the stick kind of thing, or there's like a dollar bill on the stick or something like that. And it keeps like leading you along this path. It's like you see this dollar bill and you're like going after it, and you kind of like stumble after it and like dive on it, but it like moves at the last second, and then you keep chasing this like this blessing or whatever. You are going to have that blessing and more if you feel like something has been withheld. I feel like it's just leading you down the right path that maybe you wouldn't have gone down if it had been a bit different. Sometimes we see like a blessing, but it's behind all this work, and we're like, no. But if it looks like we have this thing we're going to get up front, and it's kind of like this carrot and a stick, thing, it will actually, maybe not a stick, but there's like a carrot at least. Maybe we'll actually go down the path that source has for us. So it's not like the universe is trying to trick you. Like, again, it's like you'll get all that and more as like a reward for it. But very strange message. Like, you feel something's been like withheld or like leading you down a path, like you will have it. For some of you, that is a blessing of like freedom. Like maybe you've been trying to free yourself from a situation or have more freedom in your life, or financial freedom, and it just like seems like certain things are not moving out of the way for it, or certain obstacles are not moving or something. I feel like they will. It's like, again, you just have to go further down the path. Again, for others of you, there was another thing they showed me after they showed me an eagle. And it's this very niche as like a symbol. And it's very niche because I just don't see more than like a few of you knowing what this is. But they showed me a particular Pokemon. And I used to be a really big, especially growing up, like as a kid, I used to be a really big Pokemon nerd and all that. Maybe like a closet Pokemon nerd in certain phases as I got a little bit older. But there's this one Pokemon it's almost a little bit Phoenix-like, and it's called like, should I even talk about this? I will, who cares if you think I'm a nerd. It's called Talonflame, I think. It's like this Firebird thing. And I just want to get what the message is for you regarding this one, because it's very niche, but the message might not be niche. So some of you, I know it's like for the fire signs, so there's kind of a pun with this a little bit, but some of you are evolving into a new version of yourself that's a bit more fiery. Like maybe some of you have been lacking a bit of a fire in yourselves, like, or motivation even. Or maybe even like in standing up for yourself, like you've been lacking a certain amount of fire in that. I feel like you're getting birthed into a new you that is more fiery and like will go for the highest good, go after things more, and will be a go-getter and things like that. I feel like if you've been feeling like really chill and slack, it's not like you won't be chill, but I just don't feel like that's going to be you. If this part of the reading, this particular message has been resonating for you, I don't feel like that's going to be you as much in sometime in the near future or in the future here. Like, you're probably going to be more of a go-getter and kind of changing things up inside of you so you can achieve more is what I'm getting. But that particular message is for a select few is my disclaimer on that one as well. So we're going to move into this next message that came through ahead of time. They showed me the words new job, and this is, it's going to be different for different ones of you tuning in. For some of you, it's literally going to be time for a new job or an additional job is kind of what I'm getting. So some of you are like getting a new job or changing jobs or something like that. I feel like that's a good move, honestly. If you lost a job, I feel like you will get a new one in time is also what I'd say. And when just because I said that doesn't mean stop looking at new jobs. That means like keep doing what you need to do to get a new job, by the way. But excuse me. But I feel like you will. For others of you, and I feel like there's three groups with this one. Another group with this one is like to actually be gentle on yourself, because there are going to be a lot of changes in your work or around you or with you regarding your work. So, which could be a really good thing, by the way, but like, I don't know, maybe like a whole bunch of new people get added to your job and maybe you're wary of it, but it's really awesome. Or maybe you change positions in work, or you get a new boss or something like that. So it's going to be different for others of you, but I feel like if your work is changing, it's actually going to be a good thing. And for others of you still, I guess there's a third group that they'd like to add into this message for you guys while we're sitting with this message and channeling through on this message here. It's actually going to be like changes within you around your job. So very strange, but maybe you like hated your job, but now you actually start to like it. Or maybe another example of that. I know I'm reading in like a few different directions, but I guess I'm covering the different ones of you showing up for this reading. Maybe like you've been liking your job, but now you start feeling called to something else, and you go through these kind of job changes, and again, it's going to be a good thing. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. This is all going to pan out. For those of you who don't feel like it's panning out, it's going to pan out in the end at the very least. If you feel like there's like a whoop or something like that, like it's going to be, you're going to be okay overall in the end. So something will take care of you. But that's kind of it. I know that was like a lot of different angles on that message, but I mean, that's just how I always got to approach it. So that's what I'm going to do. Next here, I know crocodile showed up in the collective. It also showed up for the fire signs here, crocodile, spirit animal. The message was, they gave the word vicious again, but the message this time is like to be gentle on yourself, especially like this week for some reason, and like not to beat up on yourself, like don't harm yourself, like just allow the universe to bring you better. Sometimes we're just kind of in circumstances that just kind of suck for a second, and then the universe brings us better. Is what I know. That's not a very fun message, so I apologize. But if you feel like you're going through that, or something's a little bit rough on you, or maybe you're triggered or something, it is going to get better. Like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But the recommendation is just like, don't beat up on yourself and make things worse if you can help it, on top of whatever is going on. I don't feel like all of you are going to or are going through terrible things, but if you are in any way, shape, or form, you don't have to make it worse on yourself by like beating up on yourself. You probably don't necessarily deserve to go through terrible things, or anything like that. Next message here, they gave the word flameborn, which is not a typical word I get to start a reading with, or a message with, excuse me. And the message was, as kind of came through in the collective readings, like an upgrade to you and your life. You are getting a major upgrade to you and your life. You are being updated etherically. Be patient with yourself. And this may loosely tie in with I don't know if it will totally tie in with the last message, but the message with this one is to be patient with yourself, because like you might be down for like maintenance for like a day this week or a day this upcoming 30 days or something like that, or like processing a lot. So don't force yourself to do too much if you are down for maintenance, but like if you have to do certain things, the universe will work with you. So let's talk about that for a second. Sometimes when you're upgrading, you kind of just like go down for a day for maintenance. Like maybe you just really feel like you need to rest, or, in certain circumstances, you might even feel like you get sick or something like that. But the universe is just like, lay still, MFer, we need you to upgrade, things like that. So some of you might feel called to do that. And sometimes it's tempting to like judge ourselves and we have to go down for maintenance. We're like, no, I should be working and achieving because I know not all of you live in America, but I live in America and must be high earning achiever, corporate god thing. But it's like okay to rest, sometimes it's okay not to overwork. The other flip side of this is like, if you do have to like do things or like you have to go into work, like usually the universe will, my experience with this is the universe will work with you around like having to go to work with like going down for maintenance. Like maybe you're like, oh, I feel so crappy, but then you have to go into work and you kind of get this like spurt of energy and juice. You're like, okay, I can do it. And like you go to work and then the second you get home and don't have to do anything, you're like, just like down, So usually the universe will work with you around like upgrades and like things like this. But, the other side of this is like, if you can not force yourself to like do things when you're down for maintenance or not force yourself to beat up on yourself because you're down for a day or whatever, like that'll be okay. I was gonna nope, I guess we're not getting into that. So hopefully that all makes sense as far as like a message goes, but some type of major upgrades are coming in for you and your life, I suppose, like especially over the next month is what I'm getting. But of course we had that message in the collective reading, like the summertime is gonna be pretty big for all that. So that's cool. And again, like not all of this is going to be bad. You don't always have to go down for maintenance. Sometimes you do. So, of course, different situations can be a bit different, but that's kind of a general way to approach some of that, if that makes sense. Sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that last bit about that being a general way to approach some of that. So, never mind. Next message here, or is there more with that before we move on here? This is a very interesting visual, so I'm going to ask them to clarify it after I tell you what I'm seeing here. Because as I was sitting with this message, they were showing like, it almost looked like a trial by fire almost, but it was like you, or a representation of you, of course, on like a zip line. You were on a zip line, but it was like through fire. Like there's all this like fire underneath you as you're like going on the zip line, and they like kind of transitioned or like overlaid it like, in like music videos or movies, they have like an overlay where it's like whatever you're looking at becomes kind of like transparent, and they have another transparent overlay on top of it. Like those Walmart, and I don't want to judge these shirts, but there's like certain shirts where there's like a wolf on like the front, and then there's like a transparent overlay in the background of like the wolf howling at the moon or something like that. It was almost kind of like that, but the transparent meme that they placed over the zip line was that that meme of the dog sitting in the house that's on fire and he's just like, this is fine. So let me see what this actually even means for you guys. Like some of you might feel like you're going through that in some way. Like maybe you're on like a zip line to better, but it feels like everything's on fire or like crumbling around you, and you're just like you're making an effort to make things better, some of you, or something, but it's just like, this is fine. Like I'm on fire. There's like fire underneath me, like looking at my boots as I zip line, and like either like escape this thing that's crumbling or move on to better or whatever is going on. Or maybe some of you just feel like you're trying to move along your path and that's happening. As far as what this even means here, I actually feel like you're actually going to be fine. Is the message I'm getting with all of that. Like if things seem, I don't feel like this is going to be every single one of you that things seem hectic for, but if they do seem hectic, like you're going to be fine. If you're going through a really intense process or like a trial by fire, you're going to be fine is what I'd say. Just trust is kind of what I'm getting, interesting enough with all that. So interesting message, but you're going to be okay. I don't know. And that's just what I was seeing. Next, anything else with that before we move on, or any other messages regarding that or anything else here? We'll just move on. Sorry. Next message, I don't need to apologize, do I? Next message here, they showed a white fire, and they gave the word ascension with this. The message is like there is a lot of ascension energy and just kind of like unexpected developments that boost you towards your destiny. So that kind of all seems to tie in with a lot of what we've been talking about, it seems to me. sometimes we're just kind of being forced to ascend, and we're either releasing a lot, or I hesitate to use this word because I think it kind of has a heavier connotation, or people get jumpy around it after a time, but maybe there's a lot of purging or releasing. It's just the word I heard, so take it up with God. I don't know. But like purging or releasing. Let's see here with this one. It's kind of like an energy of being like forced to transform or go higher. It's not a bad thing. It's just, it's one thing that's like, it's intense and then it's not. For some reason, not for all of you, but maybe for a few of you, it reminds me of like Saturn energy a little bit. That might even just be for like 2% of you, by the way, but the Saturn bit. But as far as the unexpected developments that boost you towards your destiny, part of this message here, let's see here. I mean, it's exactly that. Like that's literally that. Like something comes in and boosts you towards your destiny, or unexpected changes or surprises that get you on the right road, or things like that. Or it could even be like opportunities that are moving you in the right direction. But again, if you feel like, not all of you are going to feel like you're going through a lot, but if you are, you're going to be okay. And those of you that don't feel like you're going through a lot, doesn't mean this isn't happening or going, the ascension and like unexpected developments and all that. It doesn't mean those won't be happening either. There was a quick segue and message just to not give up on your dreams at all. For those of you who need to hear it, there's just a lot more possible for all of you than of course gets painted for you as a picture by society or by the world. So you can create a lot more for yourself than you realize, regardless of what's going on. And again, don't beat up on yourself, but a lot of dreams are possible. And if you're learning to manifest that, like dreams coming true and things like that, that's a good idea, is what I'd say. And yeah, maybe it can be a journey to realize how to do that if you're newer or something like that, but it's well worth it. So don't give up on your dreams is what I'd say along with all of that. And like, I don't know why I keep getting things to say like this, but if things are difficult right now, just keep going. Just keep going is the message. And you'll be okay. Next, they showed me the Titanic, and this was a strange one, but the phrase they gave me with the Titanic is "don't get cocky." I don't feel like this one is for every single one of you, but there might be like different parts of this message for different ones of you, like I've been kind of doing with this reading. For those of you who need to hear this part here, what it was kind of reminding me of when this message channeled through was how some of the issues that happened with different boats sinking, or like the Titanic sinking, or even like airplanes kind of going down. I remember reading this in like an article or a book at some point. Usually came down to like a certain amount of cockiness. Usually it seemed, where it was like, the people were like, oh, the Titanic will never sink. And then they hit an iceberg and sink. Or it would be like, people who are in boats and they're just like, they go into like a dense fog and they're like, oh, we got our radar or whatever, we'll be fine. And they like collide with another boat or something like that here. It's kind of like a reminder to maybe even like double check some of your work, right now, or double check some of the things you're doing. What would be the best way to advice for you on this one here? Like maybe sometimes people get a little bit cocky that, they don't have to like work very hard for things or like do anything. They're like, oh yeah, this promotion's in the bag. And then they like coast, and then they like don't get a promotion, is like an example. Or, they're like, oh yeah, I got this, I don't need to do any work on it. And then it doesn't work out, or something like that. So it's just, again, like a reminder to like double check your work, kind of double check some things, just keep a level head. You can be confident in yourself without being cocky. Sorry. And I just had someone was trying to go live with me, and it just doesn't fit what we're doing here for that to happen. So I had to turn that off for a second. But anything else with this message to balance it out, or a different angle for others of you here? I mean, that is kind of the message, I guess. So hopefully that's helpful. It's just a reminder for some of you who need to hear that. I don't feel like all of you needed that, but for those of you who did, hopefully that's helpful, just to get outcomes that would be favorable for you. So the next message here, they just said like, if any, like, okay, let me read this one for a second, because I don't remember channeling this one. Okay, yeah, the message is like, if your roads right now or like prospective paths seem like tangled up, or like jumbled, or you're just like not sure where it's going or what's happening, I feel like the roads will present themselves soon, like the right directions, the right roads, things like that. So don't get too worried if you're a little confused right now about like a direction or things like that. It's, again, like there's like this trial by fire kind of energy. There's just a lot going on. I feel like at this time Mercury is going direct today or tomorrow, right? So just be like, that's, things are just going to get sorted out, I suppose, with that. And the next message they kind of showed really, again, like reiterated that same message, because for some reason, the way it kind of started panning out with the readings I've been doing, giraffe spirit animal, like typically has to do with someone's path when it shows up. I know that like might not make a ton of literal sense to a lot of people, but don't worry about it. Is what I say. I just get the channel messages that are going to be for the people who are going to be watching this, of course, is like the intention and how it seems to work here, how it does work. But the message here is like with giraffe is the path will be clear. So again, there's this another message, like don't give in or quit right now. Like the right path will show itself. So some of you might be like on the verge of quitting or giving up, or you're tired and you don't want to keep going, but I would keep going. If you need to rest, like that's fine, but don't give up. And then the next message that came through, they showed an egg, and it was about birthing the new. And this is a period of birthing the new. So don't forget yourself right now. Take care of you. It kind of wraps up a lot of what we've been talking about in some ways. I just get there's a lot of new birthing for you, but sometimes that process isn't always, it can be fun, but it's not always as fun as we think it's going to be. Cause, if you think of like giving birth, literally, it's not always fun, it seems, cause there's like contractions and, people screaming and stuff. So, happy Mother's Day. But, for whatever reason, I don't feel like it's all going to be bad. It doesn't have to be painful for this example. It could be happening. So be gentle on yourself. But the other part of this is like, don't forget yourself right now, and to take care of yourself a little bit extra, like extra self-care, extra time for yourself. Doing a little bit extra for yourself is going to be helpful. So anything else here? Regarding this new that's birthing, for some reason I'm getting this message like it's going to be like wild, or maybe a little bit different than usual. Like maybe you're used to things birthing in your world or life in a particular way, like manifestations or new directions or whatever. But I feel like things are going to be a bit more wild than usual for some reason, like regarding how this plays out. Like I don't know if it's a bit more direct or it's a bit more intense, or the way it plays out, you're just like, wow, I never would have expected it to play out that way. There's like a little bit more zest to this for some reason. So is what I'm getting. And I feel like this kind of message is actually talking about now through like the end of the summertime. And I do have to clarify, like it's going to be summertime for the Northern Hemisphere, and it's going to be like wintertime for the Southern Hemisphere. So if you're watching this live or soon after I post it, it's on like YouTube. It's gonna be like now through like August, maybe a bit beyond. And if you're watching it beyond all that time, like the next 3 months. So hope that all makes sense here. They're showing me pancakes next, and sometimes you get these messages of like a flip, and they're giving this message of like they call it the flippening. And I get messages like this every once in a while. But they're showing me pancakes with this. Like, how you cook a pancake on one side for a long time and then like you flip it to cook the other side. As far as what this actually means for you in your world, let me sit with this for a second here. I'm going to ask for like more clarification on this, but like maybe you felt like things are going like one way and they flip and they go another way. This doesn't have to be good or bad at all. it doesn't have to be bad, is more what I was trying to say with that. As far as like an example of how this could play out, so it makes more sense as a message. You know, maybe like you're used to always things going a certain way and you're like the underdog, and then it flips and you're like on top and like crushing it. Or maybe you're used to people always being against you, and then it like flips and people are like cheering for you, or you get more people who cheer for you or something like that. Or you're used to like, I don't know, your husband acting a certain way and then they start acting differently, or wife or partner or whatever. And again, this doesn't have to be bad. I almost feel kind of neutral in some ways about this, but if I could get a better clarification on like the overall energy of this here, give me 1 second here. I feel like what's actually good about this is like, it's good because it's progress. Like if you're cooking something and you flip it, you're progressing in the cooking. So, I feel like you're getting the flip side of things where maybe you've kind of been at the worst end of them, if that makes sense, which is actually, I feel like that's good. I feel like that's progress. It doesn't mean things are going to flip back. It doesn't mean things are going to get worse. You know, it just kind of means you're going to be seeing the other side of certain things. I know that's a very strange message, but hopefully it makes sense the way it plays out. If you get some examples of this, and maybe you'll get like a sign of like pancakes or like a flip with the message when like something flips or something. So it'll make more sense, but I don't know. That's kind of what I was getting here. The last thing they're showing me is an egg, which we kind of had that with the birthing the new message as well. So what else is going on with the egg here? The message they're giving me is like, sometimes you have to like crack some eggs to like make a cake. So if things get messy around this time period, it's okay. Or if you have to like get extra creative and do things you've never done before, or you make some, maybe you make some mistakes or something, like that's okay, is something I'm getting as well. I'm also getting a weird message, like the intention is what matters in some ways right now. So a weird message, but as long as you're intending good things, things are probably going to go well. If you look at things from an intention standpoint, I know like nope, not going to go that direction, I guess. Okay, that's it. I'm going to close the reading. Hope that was helpful and do whatever was for the highest good. There's like one more method. They're showing me grass here, and it's painted blue, like with spray paint. So I know there's like the music bluegrass, but it's bluegrass here. So what's up with the bluegrass? For some of you, like it might feel like the landscape is completely changing in your world in the near future, and you might be like afraid of it being a bad thing because like the visual looks scary almost, but it's actually like a rebirth of your world, and it's like birthing a new world for you in some ways, or it's birthing new for you, and it's actually really good. So because they're showing like this grass, and then with the blue thing, it was almost like this message of like something like unconventional or like weird, kind of like different happening for your world. And then it kind of turned into, I don't want to scare you with this message because it's not scary, it's not bad, but it turned into this almost like blackened landscape, but then it like birthed this like tropical, like beautiful world that's very unconventional, but it's very you, and like you love it. So even if things are a little bit scorched or maybe like metaphorically charred or turning into something different, and it's a little bit disconcerting, like hang in there, like it's gonna be okay. And based on like all the other messages I was getting, it's like it's actually a good thing. So hang in there is what I'd say. I feel like a lot of these messages are also kind of saying hang in there. So again, you're gonna be okay. Okay, gonna close it there. I think that is like modern art check mark. That's like the modern art of check marks right there. It's just it's very loose as a check mark, but I feel like it's the equivalent of me taping a cup to the wall of check marks. So hope that was helpful. Do whatever is for the highest good for it. You're welcome. Of course resonated. All that. You're welcome, guys. I'm gonna drink water and stuff. It speaks to me. Perfection. Hey, Patty, good to see you. Of course, we will be moving to the Earth signs next. So, great job. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. The check curve is a vibe. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, Megan. Great to see you. I appreciate the the check curve compliment. Perfect timing, Elia. It's perfect timing. I love all the perfect timing people who show up for their their signs here right as we start them. I always think that's fun. Okay, I guess we're starting the Earth sign here. So if you have an Earth sign, Sun, Moon, or Rising, circle. Ooh. This is for you when you see it. So what signs are the Earth signs? That is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn are the earthy boys, B-O-I-S. What is your logo? So Vallejo is the name of it. It's a symbol that I channeled through for a modality quite a few years ago now, actually. So it's actually an energy work symbol, works only for the highest good, of course. I have a whole like thing channeled through about the symbol and like what it does. If I were to like kind of paraphrase and get it paraphrased, a lot of it's about like getting to the heart of like an issue that's going on and like shifting it for the highest good or transforming it for the highest good. It's also very like versatile as a symbol. It's like good for like just kind of general energy work or something like that. There's a lot more that it does, but it would be probably a decent amount for me to get into right now live, but that's part of what it does. So sorry about the let's get into the reading here. So again, if you have a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and your Sun, Moon, or Rising, the reading's meant to be for you when you see it, or it is for you when you see it. So I've got channel messages that came through ahead of time from my spirit guides, the angels, and source, and of course they will be bringing through any additional information that's for your eyes good as I roll through these messages. So funny enough, it's not the first thing I had channeled through ahead of time, but it's the first thing they're having me start with. They're showing me an earthquake right when I start this reading, but it's like an earthquake that unveils something. Like if you remember, if you've played any video games where there's like the earth quakes, but then this like hidden temple like erupts from the ground and gets birthed into the world or unveiled or something like that. So there are a lot of things potentially being unveiled for you guys through some of the changes that are happening was one of the messages I'm getting with that one. And you might feel like there's some type of metaphorical like earthquakes going on or just really big changes in some way, but it's actually like, what was the message I was getting? So I had it. Can you guys repeat that, please? I forgot what they said. It's like there are a lot of changes potentially, but it's unveiling really good things for you is the message. Or like, because it's like I think sometimes with like the earthquakes we think it's going to be something like bad or like things are falling apart. Oh, that was the message. It's like you might feel like things are falling apart. I'm not saying it perfectly. Let me regroup for a second. It's like usually when an earth quakes we think about things falling apart, but it's like things are actually coming together like this with this earthquake or whatever is shaking up. So if things get shaken up for you, it's actually a good thing. For some of you, for others of you who are tuning into this, it's like you are causing the earthquake, like through your actions, but it's leading to something really good. Like, sorry, I thought I heard a cat meow, but it was just a kid yelling outside. Sometimes we like make changes in our lives and it makes drastic changes like through our choices or something. But again, I feel like it's leading to something really good. So don't be afraid to shake things up or like change things up in the near future, but like make the changes you're guided to make. And even if it causes a metaphorical earthquake, like it's leading to something good or like new that you'd really desire is what I'm getting. They're showing me Easter and like Easter eggs and the Easter bunny. So could lead to like a rebirth or like it is a rebirth of your circumstances. Or again, it's birthing the new, which has been like a theme for everybody today. The next message they'd like me to get to here, they're showing me a cliffhanger, interestingly enough. It's not what I have channeled down ahead of time either. But for some reason, they've been liking if you guys are familiar with Cliff Bars, at least in the United States, which I don't even particularly personally like Cliff Bars because they have like 30 grams of sugar. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, it doesn't even taste good. It's my personal rant on Cliff Bars today. It doesn't even taste sweet. But anyways, they've been digging. There's like this, their branding has this image on like the boxes or the wrappers of like this dude like climbing a mountain, and he's like usually hanging from a cliff. He's like got his I'm not very familiar with mountain climbing gear terminologies, but he has his little hammer that he's like, hammering the spikes into the cliff that he's hanging his little rope from or whatever. And I don't mean to denigrate rock climbing. I know I'm saying like little a lot, but I'm just I don't know the terminology. Not as familiar. But anyways, they're showing me kind of something similar to that visual where there's like someone hanging from a cliff, and it kind of looks like the Cliff Bar imagery. And as far as the message for you guys here regarding this one, with the cliffhanger, there might be a few things in your life right now where you're just like not sure where they're going, or like you started something new or made a change and you're not sure where it's going or how it's going to work out, or maybe you're just not sure about a direction. I'm just getting things are going to be made clear for you soon. So just hang in there, pun, but hang in there, I guess what I'm hearing. Again, I know the fire signs had a similar message, but things are going to be made clear for you soon is what I'm getting with that one. If you're in any like metaphorical cliffhangers or literal cliffhangers in your life right now. For some reason, and I don't usually equate this with Mercury in retrograde, but what they're saying is like maybe this past Mercury in retrograde has been a bit of a cliffhanger season or something like that. So keep that in mind. Next message is kind of similar, actually. Okay, what should I get to next here? Okay. They gave the words a higher way. So you are getting a higher way to go about your journey. So it could be upgrades to you, upgrades to your gifts, upgrades to the way you're doing things, or you're just realizing better ways to do things. It could be very like mundane, like in the physical world, like you just realize better ways to handle relationships or a job or a business or something. Could be more like you just find a higher way of being and more etheric, and you're just finding higher ways to achieve what you want to achieve. A few different ways this could play out, but overall it is about your path. And like, I feel like I've been getting messages like this pretty frequently for people recently, or maybe even just for you, the earth signs recently, where there's like this elevation to the path or the journey. It kind of reminds me again of like timeline changes or like higher realities, or like birthing a higher reality in some ways. It's just like, you're just getting a higher way to traverse your world, whatever that means to you, whatever way that plays out. Next, they gave me the phrase new directions, and they just said like you are probably going to be taking new directions, and like higher roads are on the way, like in tandem with that. So those first two messages seem a bit intertwined. They might not necessarily be intertwined, they're telling me, but okay, that's fine. I feel like you either have new directions coming in, or you're taking new directions. And again, like, if you've been feeling stuck or at a crossroads, or you've been waiting for like a higher road or like way to traverse, like it's coming in. So that's cool here. And it kind of ties in with that cliffhanger message. They keep showing me the cliffhanger visual again as I'm reading that message. Like maybe you're on a cliffhanger of like what road to take, and then like the higher road comes in. You're like, oh, here we go, boom. I don't know, maybe the pathway still needs to move in, but that's coming in, which is cool. Next, they, I know this is a very common spirit animal, but elephant spirit animal showed up again, and I just have to trust what's showing up, whether it shows up every reading or one reading ever, honestly. Because sometimes I wonder if they kind of just kept hammering in some of like the same visuals over and over again, just so I'd get comfortable with trusting them on it, honestly. But with elephant, the message is like get enough sleep was one of the recommendations they had for you. So if you're not getting enough sleep, like I'd really work on that actually, and like do your best to get enough sleep and try to get that in. But the other message is like God is removing obstacles that have not let you move forward. I feel like obstacle removal is a very common message with these readings for some reason. And maybe that's just something we're constantly moving through in some way, shape, or form, or maybe just there's more obstacles to be removed. But if there are some that maybe you haven't been able to move for a while, or maybe you just feel like you've been in a holding pattern in some way. Like I feel like that's going to be going away. I know it's Mercury in retrograde, but pretty soon after Mercury in retrograde ends, which I think is today or tomorrow, as I'm filming this, it's going to be like easier to move forward. And if you're watching this, like it is timeless. So pretty soon after you watch this, if you're watching the replay afterwards. Next, they showed me a gum, like chewing gum. And they showed specifically chewed up bubble gum. And the message was like, you're getting unstuck, even if it's like just in your head. Like there are a lot of things that are that have been sticking you that are leaving. So kind of similar messages with the obstacles and the chewing gum and getting stuck and things like that. Because sometimes the things are clear and the path is clear, but we're just in our head about oh, do I date this person? Do I just stay single? Do I date this person? Do I walk away from this friendship? Do I go down this direction? Do I do this business? And we kind of just get stuck in our heads sometimes about what do we even do, even if the path is blatantly clear and the universe is 20 arrows pointing at it to go this way. So I feel like there's just a lot that's unsticking you, and in some ways the other way this could be playing out for others of you is you're getting unstuck from people. Sometimes we kind of get glued or attached to people that aren't, and I'm not trying to get you to freak out about your relationships, by the way, but take it as it resonates. But sometimes we get stuck to people or friendships or jobs that aren't as good for us, or maybe they're supposed to be there for a season, and be just something that's there for a time to get us to this other phase of our life or this other thing that's for us. And we get stuck on them or something like that. I feel like you're getting unglued from people that have been holding you back, if that has been something that's happening for others of you. And for others of you still here, again, I'm getting this message maybe you've been stuck in a holding pattern and been unable to move forward, but that's going away. So that's good here. The next message they brought through for you guys is a cactus. That was a little bit out of... I'm going to have to work on my pitch here with the random singing, but they showed a cactus and said, don't be afraid of the past. Move forward as if the past never happened. So I'm going to clarify that. The pains of the past are not going to be your future, was the other part of this. The thorns you might associate with a cactus may not repeat. So sometimes we've had all this stuff that's happened in the past, and we don't want to move forward because you're but the past sucks so much. I don't want to do this again. But I feel like it won't. So I feel like in this scenario, again, it's things that have been really painful. You're really afraid of them repeating is what I'm hearing, but they won't. And it's about a path you're walking down for most of you is what I'm getting. So maybe what's the best way to clarify this further? Maybe you have I'm hesitant to use this option or as an example, but maybe you have a really great opportunity for a job or a business or a relationship. But all that's playing in your head, maybe not all, but a lot that's playing in your head is all how the last one sucked, or how these past jobs have sucked, how these past people have sucked, how these past businesses have sucked. But I feel eventually you're probably going to have to move forward with an option eventually. Probably. I know with dating, you can stay single and all that. I for this message, some of you, staying single is fine, but I feel regarding this message, it's not the way for you. It's not the preferred option. It's you might have to move forward with one of these things regarding this message, or it's that's one of the better options. It's the thorns probably not going to repeat themselves, in the future regarding the future thing. And sometimes we run over certain lessons again until they're gone. It's a rolling pin over bread. Usually when I knock the mic, when they have me knock the mic, it's because I'm going down a direction they don't want me to go down with an example or thing I'm saying. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit and see what would actually be the most helpful thing for me to say for you guys right now. They're really simplifying it. They're just things are not going to be repeating. Let's move on. So, okay. Certain things not repeating. Next, so they want me to say this one. The line that came through is God is watching over you. Pretty dang self-explanatory, honestly. They're showing this other message of God going through your life with a fine-toothed comb right now and really removing the the parasites or the things that don't belong or the things that would stick you. It's kind of like you're being potentially watched over, maybe more so than ever before, or you're going to be watched over more. Not that you ever like weren't watched over, of course. Or it's not like you were neglected by the universe in the past or anything like that. That doesn't mean there haven't been some tough lessons or things like that. There probably have been a lot of blessings in those lessons, and I know sometimes that's hard to hear or stomach, but would you rather me tell you that it just was for nothing? Because I don't feel like that's true. But there probably been like reasons you went through those things, but I feel like you're just going to be more divinely watched over, potentially more divinely protected, etc. So, but again, I just feel like things are being removed that have really been sticking you, but you don't even realize they've been sticking you, or they've kind of been hitting, because it's like the universe, it's a very strange visual, because they showed the universe like taking this comb, it's like combing your hair, and it's like finding all these like, I'm not saying you have a bunch of parasites, by the way, but the message, to get the message across, they're showing like parasites being removed, or like bugs being removed, or like just things that were kind of like hidden in the hair that need to go, bugs and nests and all this gross stuff. So again, like I just get another message of like obstacle removal, but things like that happening, which is good here. Like just things being removed from your life that as the I hesitate to say it because it's just, I feel like it's so overused as a phrase, but the things that no longer serve are being removed. Next message here. The message is like the players in your life are changing. So this was kind of an interesting one. So you might think you're like going to have the same like players in your life your whole life, but you might actually not. So you're going to have like a change in the roster of the people in your life, or maybe even like the things in your life in some ways. I feel like this is a good message though, because it means you're evolving and growing, and you're getting like new people around you perhaps. So it doesn't mean like all your relationships are changing. It doesn't mean you're going to lose every single person in your life and have them ripped away and have this traumatic experience and all this stuff. But it could be gently, like certain friendships fall away. If you change jobs, maybe you have new coworkers, or you change up your work, you're not around the same people as much anymore, or you just kind of gradually have this change in like the roster of your life, or all these different things, like the jobs, things like that. I don't know why I'm on this thing with jobs so much, but I'm just saying what I'm kind of hearing to give examples, and to the best of my ability, of course. The example I also hear is like, sometimes you're just so sure like this friendship or this person is meant to be in your life for like ever and ever and ever, BFFs forever. And then it's like you grow or evolve, and like that just doesn't fit anymore. And it is what it is. Like there'll be other people that come in. You kind of learn to healthily detach, and let things kind of shift and evolve as that happens. But you're kind of what I'm getting is you're kind of in the middle of this roster change, or you'll be going through a bit of a roster change, at least on some portion of your life, where again, like different people kind of come in and different people leave. So hopefully that makes sense here. And that usually happens as you evolve, as seasons change, as you need something different, as they're showing this example of like the collective, but like the collective overall, and how there are certain like almost like patterns that the collective takes, kind of like a kaleidoscope. Like you change the kaleidoscope and the patterns are rearranged, and you change the kaleidoscope and the patterns are rearranged. Or if you've ever seen the example of someone playing like sound frequencies through a metal plate, and then they put a bunch of like sands particles or sand grains on this metal plate, as it hits certain like frequency thresholds, as the plate is vibrating at these higher frequencies, the sand particles will like rearrange to a different pattern, and then they'll like vibrate and vibrate and vibrate, and they'll rearrange to a different pattern, and then they'll vibrate and they'll rearrange to a different pattern at certain like frequency thresholds. Kind of like that almost, where the collective like rearranges and then like rearranges as like we kind of go, maybe as we go higher, or as just certain things need to play out differently. So it's almost kind of like that is what's happening for you and your life. And it means you're going higher. So keep that in mind. They're saying this next message is important, so I'm going to read it next. Again, don't freak out about this message when I say it. Let me get through the whole thing here. But they show me like the universe like holding something and like breaking it. and they also showed like an arrow pointing up. So it was like a break up is kind of what they talked about. I'm not saying you're going to be going through a breakup necessarily, but the message was like, sorry, I like feel some of your guys like, a little bit as I say that. The message is like the universe is breaking up stagnancy and like forcing things in a new direction for you. I feel like that's been like I feel like the universe has been like pounding that message in this reading. So hopefully it's not too redundant for you, but the universe is breaking up stagnancy and forcing things in a new direction for you. So for others, like there's stagnancy like within you and the universe is breaking that up. So not necessarily a breakup like a romantic relationship, but certain things are going to be broken up like around you is what I'm getting, or maybe even within you. And I don't feel like you expect this. It's kind of like the last message with like the roster change. Like you just don't expect some of the changes that are coming, or the way universe is like changing things for you to like either get you to move forward or to get you out of stagnancy. So it's almost kind of very important that stagnancy is not around right now for some reason. And I feel like the universe is like forcing you out of it, if that makes sense. So I don't know as far as like why it's important. It's just not time for that. And it might be different for each of you, but kind of what I'm getting right now. What I'm also hearing is an explanation is like things need to change and stagnancy is going to hinder that. So I guess I'll just roll with that. Next, they just gave me the word rock smash and said, we kind of already talked about this, but impassable obstacles are not going to remain. Some of you might feel like you've been running into a brick wall over and over and over again, trying to move forward. My normal advice would be kind of what I said earlier, I think in the collective reading, or maybe it was a different sign, where it's like usually when you have like roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock with a certain direction, probably your indication to go a different direction. Or it's just not time for this thing, or you just need to go an entirely different direction. I feel like this is a little bit different though. It's like, I feel like this is like a direction where like, it's supposed to be your direction in some way, or it's like, it's definitely supposed to happen, but it just like hasn't been. It's like time for those obstacles in the way of that to be removed. It's just like the timing's right, probably soon or something like that. Or you're getting the tools to make the changes to make it happen, or something's happening to get you up and over the obstacles here, which is good here. Next, UFOs have been showing up a lot for the earth signs in these live readings. I've been noticing as like just a symbol. I don't know why this was the symbol for this message, but they just gave a quick message of like, be gentle on yourself. You are changing. Sometimes I think we can change with ease. I'm never going to like take away the possibility of things happening with like ease and grace and potentially even comfort, honestly. But, sometimes, as we're changing, things change we're not expecting, or, we forget that we're changing. We're like, why is this difficult? Or why is this going on? Or something like that. You're just kind of like in the middle of a change or like transformation. So just be gentle on yourself is what I'd say. It's like, if things don't make sense right now, like all will make sense soon is what I'm hearing, or in the near future, or at least in the future, but they said soon. So probably soon. And the last message I have for you ahead of time, they showed me fire. They just said your fire is revitalized. So really what the message is like, you're getting an upgrade to your fire and even like your gifts and intuition. So your fire could literally just be like your passion, or like your fire to move forward, or think like your inner fire, if that makes sense. And I feel like inner fire is on the rise for like all of us, honestly, because there are going to be changes we need to make like in the world, collectively, in ourselves, around us potentially. So it could even be like an inner fire that's more revolutionary, or an inner fire that's leading us to change or make changes. And if you feel stagnant right now, you're like, I don't know if that's me, like that'll be broken up. Like you'll get this is what I'm getting. But I feel like your fire either is revitalized now, or it's going to be like upgrading, revitalizing. Again, I feel like you're going to be moving forward more. And I feel like there's been a lot of, nope. Okay. I was going to talk about it more, but they're like, no. So the last message, they are showing giraffes, breed animal again here. What's the message here before we part ways here? So they're showing a path, and it's just like winding. It's like a path that just keeps winding and spiraling up and up and up and up and up, and it keeps winding and winding and winding and winding and winding. I feel like there have been a lot of delays for you in the past, or the words I hear are like, where is this going? But it's like you asking that question about like your path or like the way things are going and things like that. Again, I feel like things are going to make sense like soon or in the near future. But they're really just talking about, you know, if you feel like your path is winding, like that's okay. It's like, it might not seem like it, but that might actually be the most direct path to like where you're going, like what you're manifesting, your destiny, where the universe is taking you. It just might not seem like it because it seems like other people might get like directly to a destination or an outcome. And you're like, okay, how come like air sign Jenny just got directly to this thing and I'm like winding away, you know, slowly over this direction? And they're kind of just giving the word like patience. It's like yours is working out the way it's working out for a reason. It's like it either needs to go like this certain way so things don't like topple over, or so you get the right lessons so that you can like maintain what you gain, you know, once you get to the destination. Like there's a myriad of different like messages that are like explaining why things are a bit more winding. And the message I'm also getting is like seeing as things are a bit more like quantum or beyond. And like a bit different than we kind of like suspect sometimes, in a society that seems to be trained to see things linearly. Sometimes this isn't going to make much sense, but hopefully it does. Sometimes it seems like the long winding path like isn't the fastest way, but it actually is, or it's like the best way and you don't realize it. Because maybe like the seemingly the most like direct path would like lead to a lot of like weird delays or a lot of weird obstacles, or it would just be like somehow a lower experience than like you'd think it would be, or you're just not ready for it. So I don't know. Hopefully that all makes sense. It was kind of a weird message, but and the last thing showing up is an owl actually, and another message of like divine protection, and just like you being taken care of and like your path being taken care of. They're also showing like a trailblazer, like someone trailblazing. If you're doing anything that is trailblazing, you're doing the exact right thing, is what I'm getting as clarification. And for others of you here, Owl is really just saying, like, for those of you who just don't even feel like you know where things are going, like, you're going to be fine, is kind of what Owl is saying. It's like you're watched over, like, you're going to be fine. So that's kind of it for this reading. They're asking me to close it now, so I hope that was helpful and resonated into whatever was for the highest good for you. I feel like there's one more message, though, because they're going back to the earthquake that they started the reading out with here. And they're just giving this reminder, like, they're showing the earthquake, they're showing this, like, temple rising from the earth as this earthquake happens. And they're like, remember, like, things are being unveiled for you, like, through the changes, like, through what's happening. Nothing is happening for no reason. You just have to trust, is the exact message I'm hearing to tell you right now. So I feel like things are being unveiled so you can move forward, or for a myriad of reasons as well. So I don't know who needs to hear this part, but try not to poo-poo what's going on, or think like things are hectic for no reason, or things are changing for no reason. It's like there's a design to everything. So, and again, they're showing you the different like arrangements, you know, of the collective, like kaleidoscopically, or with the grains of sand example we talked about earlier. So things are rearranging for you, it is what it is. Okay. I don't know why they keep showing me fruit roll-ups for different readings now, but they're showing me a fruit roll-up as well here. And I don't mean this as a euphemism, by the way, but they're showing, you know how like fruit roll-ups kind of like elongate, you know, what's the message here? Again, I don't know why I'm saying this like over and over and over again, or different things like this, but if you feel like things are being like stretched for you at all right now, like it's going to be okay, like whatever it is. So let's move on. Okay, I'm sorry. One last thing for the earth signs is dragonfly. And what's up with the dragonfly here? So with the dragonfly, the words they give me are a new purpose. And they kind of gave me this rapid series of like images and like knowings, I guess, where it was kind of like this understanding I was getting that, you know, as a creature like evolves into a different form, kind of like the nymph evolves into a dragonfly, like there's a very, I don't know if specific is the right word, but there's like a design to that new form of the creature where it kind of has a new purpose, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't necessarily serve the same purpose as the earlier form of that creature. But like everything that's there in the new version of that creature is there by design. Like it all kind of belongs. So maybe as you step into a new form of yourself or transform into a new version of yourself, not everything makes sense right away, but there's like a reason, again, there's a reason things are happening the way they are. And you might have a new purpose come online as you transform. Like, maybe you thought you were just supposed to do a specific thing for people or for a job or for whatever for the rest of your life. Like you're like, maybe you just thought you were supposed to be a Reiki practitioner the rest of your life. But as you evolve and hit like a transform and hit a new form, all of a sudden you're doing something completely different for people that you didn't see coming. And like, that's okay, is kind of what they're talking about. You're not meant to be a nymph in the pond once you become the dragonfly. Like it'd be pretty silly if the dragonfly was like got its wings and started flying around. It's like, never mind, and tried to like go back in the pond and just like drowned itself. Like it, like you don't, I don't know why I'm saying all this, but if you're evolving into something new, you're probably gonna have a new purpose as well. So it's like, okay, if an old one falls away or something like that. Okay, so we're gonna move to the air sign, sun, moon, or rising. Thank you. So on point. So healing. Perfect. Exactly what, exactly a big part of the aim for these. So awesome. Thank you so much. Always resonates. Perfect. So perfect. I'm glad to hear it. You're welcome. So 1 second here. Okay, so I'm going to take a second for water. A second. Thank you. Thank you. Resonates so much. You're welcome. I'm so glad to hear it. And I appreciate the feedback because it just helps me know that I'm helping you. So, okay, we're going to start the air signs. So, okay. So, to give the spiel, Yasmin, newbie here. Hi, how are you doing? Good to see you. You're welcome, Dana. Thank you so much. So for the air signs, sun, moon, or rising, of course, the spiel is, great job, Brandon. Thank you. You're welcome. I've got channel messages that came through ahead of time. And of course, as I read through these, my spirit guides, the angels and source will channel through any additional information that's for your eyes good as we read through these. I don't have as much ahead of time as some of the other readings, but I'm sure they will have more for you for the highest good during the reading to make up for it. So I probably didn't even need to tell you that, but here we are. The first thing they're showing me is, dandelion seeds. You know how, if you're familiar, why am I saying if you're familiar with dandelions? Some of that, I don't know. But dandelions, they have like the seeds and they're like white, and then people like make a wish and like blow on them and they flow out into the world and things like that. They're showing those like dandelion seeds first and foremost here. The first message is like wish fulfillment, actually. I feel like you guys actually do have more wish fulfillment coming than like usual. And maybe like you're used to wishes not panning out so much, or like you sort of get what you want, but it's like maybe you get a ton of other things you don't want, or you feel like you don't get everything you want. I feel like you might be getting everything you want regarding this, which is cool. And I feel like this wish is like in the next couple months, like 3 months is what I'm getting. So that's really cool. The other thing they're kind of talking about is, I keep hearing the words, so I'll mention it just in case, but I believe that's the, one of the symbols, not like a symbol, but one of the branding images they utilize for the modality access consciousness. Some of you, probably not all of you, but some of you might resonate with that modality. You might feel called to look into it. Or I know I mentioned this book every so often in these different readings, and it's Being You, Changing the World Is Now the Time by Dr. Dane here and all that. And again, my guides have been, there are some people they recommend that book very strongly for, and there's some people that they just never want me to mention that book or author to ever. So I use their intuition on that, I guess. But the main message was like wish fulfillment, honestly, for a lot of you guys regarding that dandelion seeds, flying around and things like that here. I'm also getting the message that wishes are powerful, especially like maybe even depending on the angle you approach them from. If you see wishes as an intention or an ask of the universe or of source, that can really manifest a lot for you. I know there's kind of a bit of a dichotomy where in some of like maybe the self-help community or other standpoints regarding like personal development, there's some people who are like, you can't just wish for it. You gotta work for it. You gotta grind in the gym 24/7. I don't care if you pee on the barbells. I don't care if you take your baby to the gym. I don't care. It's like that kind of mentality where it's just like, it's perhaps a little bit overdone. And it's almost like they're almost selling a brand or image more than they're actually giving you good advice sometimes. But sometimes that is good advice. Not literally what I said, by the way, but it's just like a little bit overdone. And I think a balance between the two can be key. And in my personal experience, what would be highest much for me to say here? Sometimes you make a wish and it just shows up. Sometimes you make a wish and you have to work for it on top of making the wish and it shows up. Like there could be a little bit different depending on your circumstances or the circumstance of each thing. So I think there's like a grounded perspective we can take that holds space for both. But don't discount the power of you wishing for things or like manifesting things, creating things. Some of you, I'm just preaching to the choir, like you already know. Others of you just need some encouragement to put your manifestations out there for some reason. So that's what I'll say with that one here. The other thing with the dandelion seeds is about like planting seeds, actually. I feel like you've planted some seeds like in the past or recent past that are going to be sprouting more in your life, which will be surprising to you. I feel like some of you are not used to things working out for some reason, but I feel like they will, which is cool. And you're going to start to just see a bit, some of you who are just newer maybe to all this are going to start to see more how like manifestation works and how like seeds can be planted and grown and things like that. It'll be really good for you. For others of you here, I feel like there are seeds you planted that you've like forgotten about that are going to be sprouting and manifesting. And that'll be cool. Sometimes we make like an ask like 2 years ago or like a year ago or like a long time ago, and then we completely forget about it or maybe even 10 years ago. And then all of a sudden it like shows up. You're like, oh, wait a second. Like that's pretty crazy. So, something like that could be happening to some of you as well. Is there another side to the planting seeds message here? I feel like others of you, or actually a lot of you here, are like sitting on seeds you would like to plant, and it would be really good to start planting the seeds. So what do I mean by planting seeds? Like putting the work in to start a project, or if you want to like record music, for instance, you have to like get the proper gear to record music and start recording the music. And that's like planting a seed is like honing your craft with that and starting to record the music, or starting a business, or I know some of you aren't going to like this example, but planting a seed if you want to start dating could be like getting on Tinder. And I know I just like mentioned like the bane of some of y'all's existence when I said Tinder, but putting yourself out there on a dating website or something to start dating or something like that. It's like planting the seed instead of just sitting on just sitting on it, if that makes sense. So, and yes, of course, like you can find people and date people through other means and other methods and surprising methods. I'm going to drink some water because my voice is starting to like go dry on me. I was going to go into a whole spiel about all that, but and my guides are reluctantly telling me to get into it. So I'll get into it briefly. I don't know if it's as important as maybe some of the other things I wanted to get to, but I will say like having those dating apps, if you're single and looking to date, on your phone as an intention to date people is probably powerful. Even if you don't use those apps as much, or, if you're not convinced you're going to find someone through them, which fair. I understand. Some people I know it's worked very well for, by the way. I know other people it's not the best way for them, but even if you just have it downloaded on your phone as like an intention to like date people or something like that could, I've noticed, I was going to go into my personal experience, but I'm not, I guess I'm not going to. What I've seen and what I've gotten and what I've realized is that can just manifest it, if it's time, and it can at least be an intention to move the energies in that direction. And sometimes even just getting on there and swiping is an intention to like manifest, that can be it too, even if you don't expect it to come through that thing. So the next thing that they would like me to get to here, we're changing gears again. They're showing me grass, but I feel like it's going to be different than the grass that showed up in the last reading here. Because it's actually more of like a garden is what they're showing me. And someone kind of, I guess, sitting in your garden, metaphorically, or sitting in a garden. I do feel like there are some things that need to be weeded right now for the air signs regarding your metaphorical garden, which the garden is representing you and or your life is what I'm getting for you guys here. So what do I mean by weeds? Like, maybe you have some relationships that need a bit more of a boundary, or just maybe some of them actually just need to go, or some of you might have some thought process that need to be like weeded out, or some, beliefs, or, you get it. Things like that. Maybe you have some ideas about the way things work that you need to let go of. And it could literally even be about manifestation or beliefs about how the world works, all these things. So if you're kind of taking stock of those things, if it's you, and just taking time to pull, do some maintenance on yourself, I guess, like water your garden, self-care, self-love, pull out the weeds that don't belong in your garden. It could even just be habits, by the way, of like different things you're doing. Just kind of taking stock of all that and making the changes you need to do with that. I feel like things will be growing in your life better, because they're showing things growing in the garden better. And those are the words they kind of gave me with that. For others of you, I feel like it's going to help you prosper is the way they're saying it. So, be sure to kind of tend to your garden, so to speak. Like, even if it's clearing your energies, doing energy work and maintenance on yourself. If you work with, like Reiki or a healing modality or things like that, could be helpful. Some of you are already very good at that, by the way, and just keep up the good work. So just take that as it resonates, I suppose. Next message, they show me the word fluff. And it was very simply a message where you are being removed from the situations that have been bringing you down. So I feel like it's very strange the way they're showing it to me, because they're showing like a situation being like canceled. So if you had like a situation going on in your life and you feel like it just got like canceled or taken off air metaphorically in your life, is for some reason what they're saying, almost like it's a show. It's probably like serving you in some way that happens. So if something gets canceled in your life, like that's okay, is what I'm getting. I feel like for some of you, you probably like knew these things were bringing you down, but you didn't want to see it. So I feel like the universe just took matters into its own hands regarding that. Others of you are probably just going to be walking away from things like that, which will be good. The next message, they show me a grasshopper, and they just said, you're being hopped to a new journey. So here's a weird message. Some of you are getting a rewrite to your journey, is what they're saying right as I read that, and showing me like maybe your journey has always gone a certain way, very reliably, but I feel like the story is being rewritten where you're just on a completely different path, or things are just turning out way differently than you're used to in some way, shape, or form. It's almost like the patterns that have been underwriting your life are being rewritten in a weird way, like etherically. And it's not like it's a bad thing, by the way. It's an upgrade, actually, is what I'm hearing. Sorry for the pause there. Sometimes I'm just like picking up on an energy. I just need to like shoo it away, or just like, what is that? But honestly, yeah, I feel like it's an upgrade, but sometimes when something like this happens, where it's almost like your reality is being rewritten a little bit, or your story is being rewritten. It's just like a little bit disconcerting, because a lot of your references are gone. And what do I mean by this? Sometimes we have like maybe a person in our life, and like the way they talk to us or tell us who we are, or the way we relate to them, it's like a reference for who we are, if that makes sense. Or we have like a job, and we use that job as like a reference for who we are. Or I don't feel like I'm explaining this very well, but maybe it'll make sense as this plays out. But sometimes we have these like references for ourselves that don't need to be there and actually might even be hindering to us sometimes, because it's like maybe it's like not necessary, it's not true, or sticking to that. I'm getting into a tangent I don't need to. I'm sorry. What's the best way to say this here? There are references that have kept you pigeonholed to a certain definition of yourself that are leaving, is the better way to say it, I think, which is a good thing, I'd say. So, and sometimes that like, that message might make sense to you, like a lot of sense to you. For others of you, maybe it'll make more sense like energetically as you look at things more like energetically or in an intuitive way, but I don't know how to describe it. I just know it's something I have seen and picked up on intuitively, I guess, and a message I'm channeling through for you. Next, so I guess like a lot of different people are getting this message right now, but they gave the phrase new player. They just said new people entering your world. Also like, but regarding new people entering your world, like pay attention and make sure they are like for you. You will get signs and clear indicators whether someone is for you or not. You know, sometimes you get like a swarm of new people in our life, but not literally everyone is like our people or a person that's for us. Try not to second guess yourself too much on this. I feel like you'll know. It's just like a healthy reminder, like, you know, just because someone was like cool and you met them on the streets and maybe you hang out with them a few times doesn't mean they're going to be cool for the rest of your life, is something I'm getting. Or some people, like you meet them and they might present themselves a certain way and then they're not that way. Always a disappointment when you're dating someone when that happens, but not that it always happens, by the way, but just keep that in mind. Like, you're going to be getting clear signs like who these people are and whether or not to like keep them around or keep them close, if that makes sense. Next message, there was this reminder, like they gave the word pay. They just said money always comes back around. You do not need to worry about losing money. You do not need to worry about losing money. The universe works in mysterious ways. So what's the best way to say this? You know, sometimes you like lose a bit of money, or maybe we like give some money away and we think that money's just gone, but the universe actually like repays us in another way or from another person or direction. So, it's tempting to see it like when you lose a lot of money as like losing a lot of money, but the universe might repay you back or repay you tenfold or, you know, reimburse you in some way. The other thing that I'm getting to say is like, especially if you're giving, and I'm not saying to give all your rent money away when it's due tomorrow because the universe will pay you back. Like, not what I'm saying. But, you know, it's kind of that message of when you're giving, of course, this is pretty common information, I think, but some of you might be newer and need to hear it or just might need the reminder. Oftentimes, like I've noticed, like when I would just like give something or I was guided to give something, I would very clearly like receive something back in a different area. Like one of the examples I have is from a long time ago when I was first getting on TikTok. And I think I had like, I don't know. I'll just give the story. I think I had like 2,000 followers and I had all these like crystals that were like, pretty nice, hefty crystals that were on like this windowsill, and I had some friends over, and as they were leaving, I was like guided, like, okay, they each get like a crystal on the windowsill and let them pick their crystal. I'm like, okay. So I pretty much said them as they were leaving, oh, by the way, like what I'm getting is one of these crystals on this windowsill is for each of you, and I'm just getting to let you guys pick a crystal. And so they did, and so they got these pretty dang nice crystals, by the way. They weren't like, not that there's anything wrong with little tumbles. I love little tumbles too, but they were pieces. And they weren't like huge pieces, but they were a good, like, you know, handful pieces. And after they grabbed those pieces and left the door or something, I think it was like the next day or 2 days, like my following went from like 2,000 to like 4,000. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I was like guided to give that. And very clearly I was gifted in this other way by the universe. So, sometimes we're guided to like give and it seems like a lot, but we'll be getting something in like a different way. Or if we like lose money or something happens to our finances, the universe will repay us through other people or through other avenues and things like that. And sometimes we'll reimburse you with interest, of course, especially if you're like giving to the world. The universe is generous, is what I'm being guided to say as well. the universe is here to give in a lot of ways to us. And half of our journey sometimes is opening to receive and learning how to do that and being good with that because the universe is always giving to us, if that makes sense. And, sometimes it's not always the ways you'd expect. Sometimes it is, but I'm getting a weird message to kind of wrap this part up, that if you're losing anything, you're not actually really losing anything, if that makes sense. Okay, let's move on. So the next thing they talked about, I feel like this is a common message, but if that's what they want to say, that's what they want to say. They just showed me the color black, kind of like black tourmaline, and it was about like divine protection. You guys as well, like this came through for the collective reading, but you always also specifically got a message like not to give your power away, like especially in your choices is what I'm hearing. What's the best way to say this? The example I'm getting to say here is sometimes we are going to make a choice in our life, and we have maybe we have a friend, for instance, and we, think, oh, this friend knows us so well. Clearly they're going to make the best choice for us if I go to them for advice, da, 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 da. And, if they're like, accurately intuitive, or they're always historically like accurate for you if they channel or they're intuitive, that's one thing. But, the other question is like, do they know you? Are they looking past, depending on where you're at and where that friend is at? And it's like, sometimes we actually have to own our own power and go based on our own intuition and divine guidance. If you're trying to grow your intuition and divine guidance and you've been shown it's accurate, that's probably the better path to take, typically is following your own intuition. And there's those people who are like mega intuitive and they're always right, and it's usually pays to heed what they say. But for this example, if you have a friend who's like trying to tell you something or tell you to do something and you're not sure, or you're getting something different, trust your gut is what I'd say. And don't give your power away to that friend who like, what's an example here? Doesn't want you to date a certain person, doesn't want you to go a certain direction, because, and it depends on that friendship or that person. Like sometimes, not always, people have their own agendas for what they're telling us. And we don't realize that until like a little bit too late, like years afterwards or something like that. And that agenda doesn't have to be nefarious or anything. It could be, I have an example that's pretty much talking to this. One time this was before I was really into like the channeling and intuitive thing, like more consciously. So this is like years back, but I had this person I was dating, and it was kind of like, there was like this point where they were going to like move in with me. There's like a bunch of different examples I get into this with this scenario, but I feel like this one spells it out well. For the highest good. And I was like really not sure. Like I really kind of wasn't feeling it, honestly. Like myself at the time, I didn't really want this per se. But I hung out with like a friend who was, supposed to be my best friend at the time, or a close friend at the time. And she was kind of saying like, oh yeah, I think you should do it. I think you guys are a good couple. And I was just like, I wasn't really feeling it, but I'm like, oh, well, this person knows me really well. And, they probably are giving the right advice or whatever. So I think I'm just going to do what they're saying. And it was kind of, my intuition, I was in a different place with it back then. Again, it was like before I started like channeling and just like getting the information. And of course it went pretty terribly. It did not turn out well. And I really kind of wish I'd gone a different route with it. Cause I did like need a roommate at the time. And so truth be told, I wish I just stuck it out and looked for a different roommate and just let that relationship, go how it would have without them moving in. And I'd been dating them for a year, but, still. So I do have like personal experience with that, like as an example, as far as like giving your power away. But there's a lot of different other ways that could play out, of course. And, so, and like what I was getting to with that, with like the agenda, was I'm pretty sure like what it kind of turned out was, or as I like kind of talked to people who are more intuitive, and as my gifts grew, it was kind of like this weird thing where it was like, part of the reason like, me and this other person had kind of gotten together, part of the reason in the first place more exclusively was like, sort of by the recommendation of this other friend. So it was like the other friend might have felt more like, actually, I'm mixing up my memories. This was a long time ago, so never mind. But there might have been an agenda like to have this work out just so this person didn't feel bad, in the long term. And so there was a lot of, I don't need to get too into this. There might have been a few things where they took it a bit personally, and there were other things tied into this as well, where like when this didn't work out, this person took it a bit personally in a weird way. So, anyways, let's get out of that mode and that energy. Let's move on to the next message for you, because I think you get it by now, but don't give your power away is really what I'm trying to say, like in your choices, and trust yourself here. Anyways, the next message was, and I know like elephant spirit animal shows up a lot. Again, it just does, but it showed up for this reading as well. And the message was like, don't look back, keep moving forward. Obstacles, again, are being removed. So you might be tempted to like look back right now at like all these things that didn't work out for you, or all these things that went wrong, or you might even be like feel a little bit attached to the past or certain past people or something like that. You're really being guided to, what I'm getting is you're being guided to move forward and to kind of keep your head up and keep your sights on the future, because you can bring in things that are better than the past if you keep looking forward and moving forward to the future, like better than the past for you in most scenarios, or that will fit your future path better. So, your present and your future are really where you can start to create and bring in better. So in a different version of this, don't give your power away by, one, thinking that the past will become your future, and two, don't give your power away by looking at the past so much and being stuck in the past so much, and maybe even pining after past people so much for some of you, a handful of you, that you don't look at what you can do in your present to create your future in a better way, that you don't look at the good that could be coming in your future as you set your sights forward and start working towards that, things like that. And sometimes, people, we might feel a bit deflated in the present because of the past. But if you turn your attention to what you can do in the present, you can start to reinflate yourself and move forward in a better way and create better, if that makes sense, of course. And maybe I don't know, that's just kind of what I'm hearing with that. The next thing they're showing me are like dragon scales, or they're showing me like a scales, but it's like, on like a Smog from the Lord of the Rings, or like other dragons, nice dragons that are fun and nice. But what's the message with the dragon scales here? They're kind of showing how dragons are, and dragon scales are probably heat resistant. I know, like, according to different lores or mythologies or fantasy stories, dragons may or may not be heat resistant, but in this instance, for this message, they are. So what's the message with the heat resistance here? I feel like this just seems like it's been a common message today for like everybody, but you might be afraid of like moving forward and getting like burned like you have in the past, but it's kind of like you have some resistance to get, like, you're divinely protected from being burned, if that makes sense, or you have like natural resistance to being burned, or you won't be burned in the same ways, is one of the ways I'm getting to deliver this message. For others of you, or what's the other way what's the other message for you guys here? I just feel like some of you are afraid of being burned, period. And you won't be, is kind of what I'm getting. So I don't know what that's about, but it could be about like taking leaps in your life or making changes, or maybe you're afraid of making changes because you're afraid of being burned. But I don't feel like being afraid of making those changes is really serving you. So I would just know you'll be okay, honestly, or things will turn out okay in the long term. Just do what you feel guided to do. Next, they show me a fox here. So let me see what up is. As they say with fox here, they're giving me the word thief as well. It's kind of how like foxes can often be depicted in certain lores or stories as thieves, because they go into the chicken pens and steal the chicken eggs or whatever, steal chickens and all that. So what's the message here? This is a very, very strange message to me, but it might just make perfect sense to you in your world. But they're showing like there might be certain things you actually have to like sneak away from, if this makes any sense. Like, I don't always, well, I don't know. This is like a strange one. Like there might be people you need to like, this is a very strange message, ghost almost, or like situations or like jobs you might need to kind of sneak away from, or um, things like don't serve you, but you feel kind of stuck with or in, and like if not a very common message by any stretch, but you might actually need to kind of sneak away from them in some way. And kind of like weirdly getting not to be afraid to, if you know what that is and you know what that's talking to. This isn't, I'm not saying like to ghost everyone in your life or anything like that. And I don't know if I'm always a proponent of ghosting people. And I'm not trying to like be like, yeah, go on dates, ghost everyone, blah, 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 blah. But it can be a way to like slowly like cut a cord with someone, or like slowly like close out a situation. It's just kind of gradually distance yourself, instead of having a big dramatic blow up or something like that, so just kind of do what you have to do within reason to get away from certain situations that just really are bad, is something I'm getting. I don't know what's up with the sneaking thing. I don't know why that's the suggestion or why they're painting it that way, but hopefully that makes sense to you as a message here. And before we part ways here, I want to see if there are any just other messages for the air signs before we start to close out the reading here. So the next thing they're showing me is like there's this scenery. There's like two cliffs. There's like a waterfall in between them. They're pretty far apart. There's like this rainbow bridge in between them. And they're showing you crossing this rainbow bridge. And you get about halfway, and then you like kind of get cold feet. You want to like turn back and run the other way. I feel like if you're in the middle of a change or transition in your life, like you should kind of keep going with it and not turn around. Sometimes like that moment we get cold feet, and this is different than the last message, by the way, the moment we kind of get cold feet or like want to turn back and like give up is like the moment sometimes right before something really good happens or things get good. So if you're in the middle of a change and you're starting to like try to undo the change or undo what you've been trying to change, like I don't think I would keep the change going, if that makes sense. I'd keep traversing this metaphorical bridge you're trying to traverse in your life here. And what they're showing me is like this Ten of Cups tarot card actually in my intuitive visuals as I sit with this is like the other side of the bridge that you're heading towards. And the side that you're leaving, they're saying doesn't matter what card represents it, so okay. But you're actually like heading towards like a Ten of Cups if you keep going with that. So don't turn around from something you're like moving towards, is I guess the message here. Sometimes it's like tempting to go back to comfort when things are changing, even if what's comfortable isn't necessarily like good for you or like the best thing for you. And you're kind of being asked to let go of that and be okay with things being a little bit like weird or maybe a little bit uncomfortable as things change, but to get to the gravy that's on the other side because of that, through that transition is what I'd get. And the other message is like comfort doesn't always mean good in this scenario and the way we're talking about it, because you can get comfortable in a really crappy situation, but because it's familiar, it almost feels like safe in a way, because you kind of know what to expect, even though it sucks, if that makes sense. And that's kind of a trap that a lot of people fall into, or a certain amount of people fall into, is the comfort of the familiar that just kind of isn't quite what they want or isn't quite there or kind of sucks or totally sucks, but you're not willing to let go of it because of the familiarity and alleged safety of it. So, and the other thing is it might not be as safe as you realize, is the other part of that. So just be mindful and aware of that is what I'd say regarding any like changes or transitions going on, or any temptation to turn back to what's comfortable that might not actually be comfortable in the long term, if that makes sense. There's one more message here. We're digging into the rainbow a bit more too, because they're showing me a rainbow again. So what's up with the rainbow? That's different than what we already brought through here. I don't like this message, but they showed this. It's not the rainbow that was the bridge, different rainbow. So we're moving to a different rainbow here, just before we talk about this. Okay, so they showed this rainbow, the new rainbow, not the new rainbow you're headed towards, but the new rainbow in this message, kind of like crumbling, and then like the land kind of turns barren and blackened, and it just crumbles, and it just, the whole area of land just like falls apart and like caves in. And the message is like there might have been some like old hopes and dreams for some of you, or a lot of you, that just kind of like didn't work out, or just like kind of like crumbled, or they kind of got dashed against the rocks or things like that. The message is like there are going to be new like hopes and dreams that come in. So, and just because like this one thing that happened and crumbled doesn't mean this other thing won't happen, by the way. You know, there can be a very natural progression of like, we got what we needed from this, and we went in the direction our soul needed us to go for this, and now we can segue into this other portion of the dream, or a new dream, excuse me, where it's like, this is what you're meant to do, or this segues you into the next thing, and that's what you're meant to do, or, you know, you get it. And I know, I almost want to kind of talk to how, you know, some people might get a bit downtrodden, or like, what's the point, or screw this, if they kind of have to keep going through different scenarios in their life to like get to the success or the thing. But like the other part of that is like, would you rather just like give up and not get there at all because you're stuck on this thing that's not working, or like what's the alternative? What's the alternative here? Like, you know, like sometimes we have to go through the journey. Sometimes we have to do the work. Sometimes we have to go through certain things to get somewhere. And I know that's not like the fun answer. And I know that's not very airy fairy of me and all that, but it's a bit more realistic, in that, like, you know, sometimes we do just have to go through the different phases of the journey until we get there, and we get something from each phase of the journey. And there's things we cherish from each phase. Maybe there's things we don't like from each phase, but I don't know, maybe it's possible that you have really great phases. I don't know. But, if you don't keep going through the phases, you don't go anywhere. Right. But, if you just keep going through the journey, whether it takes, you know, 3 more relationships before you find the love of your life, or whether it takes, you know, 10, or whether it takes 1 more thing before you find the thing that's for you, or whether it takes 20, like, you gotta do the thing. And I'm not saying it's gonna take a bajillion million times for you to get to your thing or your dream or the thing that works out, because that might not be true either. But I'm just trying to, for anyone who is like not liking that message, I'm just like, what is the alternative? Like, I'm just trying to help give a grounded perspective to it, or something that's helpful. And I know that's like a bit, I don't know, not as fun, but the other side of all this is like, if this collapsed in the past, like you're getting a new hope and dream, and this one's more likely to pan out, or it's again, a road that you take that gets you to something better. So keep going through the journey is what I'm trying to say to you here. And, as far as like, will this new one be like the one that kind of like pans out long-term for you? I feel like for about half of you, it actually will, like, it'll be more the thing for you. For others, it could just be a segue, but regardless, keep rolling with it, because it's leading you somewhere. If that makes sense. So anything else before we kind of start to wrap this reading up here? Anything else here? They're showing me Grasshopper again. I know we already had a message with Grasshopper where you're being hopped to a new journey, but what else is going on here with the Grasshopper? Very interesting message. They're showing this Grasshopper. He's just kind of like, he's not actually frozen. He's just kind of like standing still, like as if he's frozen, or as if it's frozen. And it's like, it actually could just like move forward, and it actually probably should, but it's just like standing still, not doing anything, like waiting for something in a weird way. If you can move forward, I kind of just would, if that makes sense. Like, there's almost like no reason for most of you that you should be frozen right now, or if that makes sense for maybe some of you that doesn't totally resonate with, but I feel like this Grasshopper is like frozen and like waiting for something, but it actually doesn't need to wait. It can just start walking forward towards something. So if you're like waiting for no reason, don't do that. I guess. Hopefully that is helpful. The last thing they're showing me is like a dog. It's like what's up with this dog here? There's like a golden retriever. There's also this terrier here. Okay, this might have been for me because like the message they showed this dog kind of like laying in the sun taking a break, and what my guys just said is like you need to take a break before you head into the next reading, so do that right now. So I think I'm gonna close out that last reading. Usually when dogs show up, it's about loyalty. As far as a message for you with the dog here, you know, of course, I would just be taking breaks or the right amount of rest as you need to, and listen to your body and all of that here. I feel like that actually is kind of the message there. So I'm going to close the reading now. I hope that was helpful, resonated, did whatever. Oh yeah, if there's someone who needs to be muted in chats, please just do that. Or if they're being, you can just block them too if they're being exceptionally obnoxious. Spot on. Thank you, Kara Relentless Spirit. I appreciate it. Let me see. Oof, yeah. Whoever that person is that I'm going to block, that energy is not good. Just feel weird in my stomach. You told me early last year that I would meet my love late in 2022, and it happened in late October. Awesome. So glad to hear it, Cheryl. That's awesome. Sorry, I'm trying to find the person who, maybe Ahmad already took care of it. I was going to try and block them, but I don't see any of their messages. Oh, whatever. I just don't see them. Thanks, Destiny. Okay, Destiny took care of it. Appreciate you. Mods coming in clutch, as they always do. So I think this is a good time, spot on. Thank you. Just what my soul needed. Perfect. I'm so glad to hear it. You're welcome, Cheryl. You're welcome, Simone. So glad it resonated. You're welcome, La Henry. I appreciate it. Gross vibes as soon as they joined. Yeah, I feel like gross in my stomach and solar plexus area. Just someone who needs to work on themselves. Oh, thanks, Sarah. Very thought-provoking. Thank you. You're welcome. I agree. Felt that as well. Yeah. Well, thanks, Destiny. So let's move to, well, I'm going to take a quick break. We'll move to the water signs. Oh, thanks, Lainey. You're welcome, Dana. I'm going to take like 2 seconds. You know, I'm not sure what it is, but I've been noticing a few more just like gross comments on like just some of my posts recently, like on TikTok or on other places. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but you know, hopefully that either tapers down or I don't know, maybe it's like a precursor to things like shooting up and getting better, or I don't know. But anyways, if I didn't already do this, I want to give a shout out to the lots of bots. Oh yeah, there's that too. I wanted to give a shout out to the moderators. Destiny, thank you so much for being here and watching over the chats. Thanks, Olivia. That can be true too, Lainey. We trigger people. It helps facilitate their growth. Yeah, that can happen as well. I'm getting some weird ones too. Someone said my love and light energy had gone too far. LOL. Yeah, I get, no, it has not gone too far. People are just weird. Sorry to hear this, Brandon. You deserve so much gratitude. Thank you, Marina. I appreciate it. Your mods are the best. The mods here are awesome. So there's Destiny. I know China Moon Girl shows up here sometimes. Rockin' Robin shows up here and there. I did have some ones in the past, but I think they were just in they maybe were just meant for past phases, and those were in different iterations of the lives too. But I just want to say thank you to the mods for helping out and being here as you guys can, and helping this to run smoothly, because it really makes a difference and makes a difference to the people here. And of course, never an obligation, but thank you. I find your videos very relaxing, so thank you. You're welcome, Mooney, I think that is. So strange. They seem on an agenda. They are just attacking to attack. It's not actually personal. For some of them, yes, actually. It's very, yeah, it is strange though. It's, I don't know what's going on with all that. Oh, you're welcome, Destiny. Bless you. So, and I don't want to give too much focus to the people who are leaving gross comments or anything like that. I just felt called to mention it for some reason, and I'm not sure why. I'm going to give myself just a few more seconds before we start the water signs. I mean, they don't know you guys personally, I would imagine. Yeah, that's 100% true, because people who know me personally would never say those things, quite honestly. Thankfully I have a lot of that perspective to balance it out, or just to get a more balanced perspective on, like, if someone's just like attacking, and usually it's their own crap. I've been doing this work for people in my personal life, like all of you guys, people in one-on-one readings. Like I know what I'm like. I know the feedback I get. I know what my guides tell me. So I'm not, it doesn't worry me too much, but it still would be probably better without it. But maybe it's just a lesson for me along the way as I keep going with all this. Always an enjoyable life. Awesome. Love your messages. Thank you, B. Randy. I'm so glad to hear it. Okay, we're going to start the water signs now. So, we're going to end the air sign reading. So, Spirit's message. Yep, no, you're right, B. Randy. Spirit's messages. Yeah, they're not necessarily mine. A hate-filled heart will always attack the good they see. I like that quote. Or I don't know if that's a quote or you just said that, but I like that, Dion. They may be energy leechers. Totally is the word I hear when I read your message, Dana. And some people just have nothing better to do than to try and get a rise out of people for their own whatever. But they need to get a life. So Bro asked where his keys were that weren't missing. Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't see the comments, so I missed that one. And I'm not necessarily talking about just that person. It could be other people as well. So we're going to start the water signs reading. So for the water signs, only a good vessel can deliver these. I appreciate that, B. Randy. Thank you. Dana, he probably was a teenage boy, but we don't need to discuss him any longer. Well, you can if you want to. I'm just going to focus on the reading now. So I've got channel messages that came through ahead of time for the water signs, sun, moon, rising. And my spirit guides and angels and source will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good, fully for the highest good. Okay, so as we start out here, I feel like I get this message for the water signs every now and then, but they're showing me a very interesting visual. It's very vivid. There's like water trickling through into this like puddle, like this, it's like this small like area in like the sand, and the water's kind of trickling through these rocks, filling up this little pool, and like someone representing you is like scooping up the water in their hands and like drinking it. The first message I was hearing is that there's going to be more flow in your world, especially if there's felt like there's just been a trickle lately. There's just more and more flow opening up here. I feel like you guys are also being nourished by the universe, and in a good way though too. It's like your needs are being fulfilled. It's kind of strange. It's almost like you just need to make space for it, and it's there is what they're showing me. Because it's like someone makes this space, like this pool for the water to be filled up with, and then as like the tide rolls in, like it's filled. I guess it's supposed to be fresh water if you're drinking it, but the water fills that pool to be, you can drink the water from it. So a lot of what you need is being fulfilled, even if you don't realize it or don't see it right now. Like a lot of needs are being fulfilled is something I'm getting first and foremost, interestingly enough here. I think like everybody's had this message today, but they're also showing like new people flowing into your world, or like new opportunities with people. So kind of like is happening with everyone. There's like just new flowing into your world, which is cool here. Next thing they're showing me is like a fish. It's like a mahi-mahi specifically, if that matters. But they're also showing like a flounder. They're showing like, I forget what the name of this one they're showing me is, but it's almost like a sunfish or just like a really big ocean fish or something like that here. It's about intuition. as well. If you feel like in any level that intuition has been lacking, I feel like it's going to be restored, or you'll be like getting it back or something like that, or it's going to be like up leveling. So I feel like part of the way they're like bringing that message in is like it's fish, but it links to like Pisces, and like Pisces are meant to be I guess all water signs are supposed to be intuitive, but like Pisces are meant to be intuitive and things like that. So to my understanding, I don't know. That might not be the perfect analogy, but it's what they were using to get the message across. So it works for me here. There is also like a shark in this water as we're like sitting in this water here. I'm getting a weird message. Like everything that's in your life is meant to like be here, or it's like it's teaching you something. Like you might have a shark metaphorically that's like disconcerting. I don't feel like it's going to attack you or anything like that. It's kind of just like that shark being there is teaching you something, or like that uncomfortable situation is teaching you something, or it's causing you to go in a certain direction that's like good for you to go in or something like that. So there is, of course, a lot of divine guidance through everything that's happening around you, like the way it's steering you, the way it's making things play out. So it's an interesting message where like everything belongs. So try not to think your life is going away it's not supposed to, or something like that, or don't be tempted into that. It's either like it's teaching you something, it's showing you something, it's getting things to move in a certain direction. There's like a purpose that it serves, if that makes sense. Like every creature in the ocean belongs, even if some of them seem to kind of like suck or something sometimes, which I know isn't fun. But you know, like a shark might suck to the fish, but a shark is also maybe a meal to a killer whale, so it doesn't really suck to a killer whale. And a shark doesn't suck to a shark, so maybe it's a matter of perspective. But let's move on here, though. So you guys are getting a rainbow as well, like the air signs got a rainbow, but it is like over an ocean, but it's almost like you're actually saying goodbye to something. There's like a sunset, there's someone on the beach, they're like closing a car back door, but it's like a Range Rover or like a Land Rover or one of those two. I forget which one is the high-end one, but it's one of those. And it's like someone like had a day at the beach, they're closing the back door, you know, they're getting in the car, turning it on to leave. And again, like there's this reminder, like just because you're leaving something good, if you are, it doesn't mean you won't get something better. So if you are called to leave something, there is a reason, there is something better. So trust your intuition on that. There's the, it almost sounds cliche, but it's true. So it just is what it is. But you know, every ending brings a new beginning, of course. So if something is ending, even if it's not your choice, or you're kind of being forced in this metaphorical Land Rover to drive away from the beach and the pretty mermaids and the rainbow and all that. One, the beach might not be as fun at night because, you know, there's not like the sun to go swimming in the water. And maybe if you had a campfire, it's a different story, but maybe fires aren't allowed on this beach. I don't know, you know, like campfires and things like that. So in this example, in this message, if you're like being forced to leave something, or you are leaving something behind, maybe it wouldn't have been as great as it had been for you, you know, previous to you leaving, if that makes sense, if you'd stayed. So again, there's like this other message, like there's a reason for everything, kind of coming in as well as we sit with this message. The next thing we're moving to, they're showing me an ancient ruin. It's not what I have ahead of time. And some of you might think you're going to be ruins, but you're not. This could even be like financially. Some of you, not many of you probably, but some of you like think your life is ruined, but it's actually not something I'm getting. It's just like a restart, or someone's hitting like a reset button sort of for you. So you kind of have a new beginning or something here. And sometimes we have things that we like define as our life that are actually just a part of our life. And what do I mean by that? You know, sometimes we have like a relationship, and there's this phrase where that kind of goes around. We're like, oh, this person is my world. Oh, this person is my world. And I know that's meant to just be like a term of like, oh, this person means a lot to me. I really love this person. I'm kind of trying to make sure I'm saying the right things for me to say here. That would be most helpful here. But you know, that person isn't like literally your world. Like there's all of you, there's your life, there's your interests and hobbies and things that are meant for you. There's your purpose, or whatever you're meant to move towards or do or experience this life. It's like that person's not really your whole life, and it would probably be unhealthy if they actually were. And they can be a part of your life. They can enhance your life, but sometimes we like lose something. We're like, oh, that was my life. But it's like, it might have been a part of your life or even a great part of your life, but it wasn't your whole life. And there's other things that can come in to fill that void. If something leaves, or there are bigger and better things that can come in for you. So try not to mistake the things in your life for your life. I don't know if I'm saying this very well, but can I get a better way to simplify this or get this message across, please? I guess like the message is like, if you're losing something, you're probably not losing something that's as important as you think it is, even if it seems important to you. I don't know if I'm getting this out right, but hopefully this is at least getting you to look at things in the right direction or help you out regarding whatever is going on there. Next here, we're moving from the ancient ruins and we're back with the Land Rover. He's on this like open road, and they're starting to sing the Country Roads Bring Me Home song. It's like on these country roads. So what's the message with this land? We're on a whole journey for this reading. What's the message with this Land Rover on the road here? The open roads here. I feel like a lot of things are actually transpiring faster than you realize here, or going to be like flipping or moving or maybe even changing faster than you realize. It's almost like the person driving this Land Rover like doesn't realize how fast they're driving or how fast the scenery is like falling away as he drives, or they, sorry, as they drive. It doesn't have to be a he. I realize sometimes I say like he as like an example when I'm saying these messages, but it's meant to really kind of be a gender, honestly. But the person as they drive this Land Rover is, things are just moving faster, I guess, than they realize. So if you have any like changes going on, they might be over faster than you realize, or faster than you think they're going to be. Or just changes are happening faster than you realize right now is kind of what they're saying with this one. Like, you're going to get to your destination quickly, whatever is like next for you guys, I suppose, or whatever you're traveling towards here. So the first one that came through ahead of time, they're having me kind of go back to these messages. There was a message, they showed me a fox, which also came through for the air signs, but the message is like, no one can steal from you what is for you, whether it's like gifts or whether it's a destination the universe source has for you. Whether it's, one second here. A manifestation that's for you, or just something that's supposed to be yours, or it's in I haven't really delved super hard into like soul contracts, but what I'm hearing is like, whether it's like a soul contract thing or whatever, like if you're meant to have something, like you're going to have something, or like if you're meant to like be with a person, you're going to be with a person, or a type of person, or whatever it is. No one can really take that from you. And I think sometimes we have a story that we can like lose something to others. I feel like if we actually do, it's like that thing probably actually wasn't for us, or the universe will like rectify it in some way if something weird happens. But typically the people trying to like actually like get one over on you or take from you or something like that probably can't get away with it any type of long-term, with any type of, oh my gosh, in like a long-term standpoint or anything like that. If that makes sense. Or I'm getting like weird messages like people trying to steal your glory or your thunder or whatever. So if there's something that is for you, it's going to happen for you. You can't miss it is something I'm getting. And, it kind of, what pops in is like a story for me. Like what is flashing in really quickly is this reminder of my personal experiences where there have been times where, what's the best way to explain this? Because I have it all, but it was a flash. So I knew everything I needed to talk about, but there's like a lot to unpack in that flash, I guess. Like sometimes there's like all this stuff when it comes to like a new relationship, for example. And there's like all these things that like people are telling you like, oh, you got to be in this mindset. Oh, you got to be in this energy. Oh, you got to heal this thing. Oh, you got to be thinking about it this way. Oh, you got to do a triple back flip off of a pontoon boat. And then you got to spin around 3 times underwater and chant the words of the Shrek script backwards 5 times, and I don't know. But there's like all these like hoops that seemingly we need to jump through to like be in the right energy to manifest a relationship. If you like watch too many readings, I think, or something, or read too many books on it or whatever. And the thing I've kind of found, or like if I'm going to speak to this personal experience that I'm going to speak to, at least, I don't know if it's the broad truth always, it could be, but is, if I can get it out of my mouth, I remember there were like times where like there would be a relationship I would really want to happen with someone. And it would be kind of like, no matter what I would try to like get in the energy, approach the mindset, blah, 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 do all the things, it just like wouldn't work. But it's just like that relationship just wasn't right for me. Like that was actually divine protection, that it just like kept not working out. And it, you know, that person might have even been like into me, you know, like they could have had like a total like crush on me, and it just like wouldn't work out. It just like wouldn't happen. The angels and the universe, source would just be like, nope, not happening. But then like when it's supposed to happen and it's time, it's like all these like things that we think we need to do, like get in the energy of it. It'll just kind of like happen in my experience. Like when it did start to happen where I'd start to date someone or something was going to happen, it's like all this stuff just like happened. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like, I was just like in the right energy for it. I was just like not doing the things that would have tanked it. Like it just worked. Like all the planets aligned or whatever, and it just worked out. Not that it had to be like that big and grand, you know. So I think sometimes we kind of like, not literally try to trick the universe, but it's like we kind of jump through all these hoops that people, oh, okay, sorry, they're saying me no. They're telling me no. What's the best thing for me to say here? Like when it's time, it's just going to happen. You know, like if there's something that has to happen for it to happen, that thing will happen at the right time it's supposed to happen. Like the universe will get you in the right energy, get you in the right mindsets. It'll just flow or work or click or something will happen so it works out. So I think sometimes we like try to force things and they don't work, and we get it in our head because it didn't work, that we're, you know, especially if it's like a relationship thing, sometimes people get it in their head like, oh, I'm worthless because this person didn't choose me. And it's like, maybe you were just divinely protected from that relationship, or, you know, there's other things going on here. So what I'm trying to say is like, no one can steal from you what's for you. And like when these things are supposed to work out, they just will. You know, I mean, it doesn't mean don't work on yourself to like, if you're trying to get love, it doesn't mean like don't do things that you know will be good for you, that people are telling you would be good for you to do, you know, get your energies right or whatever. It just means like you can't force something to happen that's not supposed to happen. And you probably can't stop something from happening that's supposed to happen, to a certain degree. Especially if you're like a very divinely guided, divinely protected, you know, your life is divinely orchestrated kind of person. Things are just going to work out the way they need to is what I'd say. As long as you're not like actively trying to tank them. But even then, maybe the universe can keep you from doing that some way. Because there are other times I can remember to go on a personal example note where there are things I could have done that might have been bad, where I just felt stopped. It's like, I have a ton of examples that are, of course, make more sense like now as I'm more like tuned in and I channel and things like that. Like I might go to channel a message for like TikTok and like film a TikTok or something, but if it's not time to do the message, like usually with channeling, like I don't want to like change it by manifesting something with my words, but I'll just like get it out, and if I even could. It's almost like a flow, it kind of feels like, of like when I'm channeling, of like the energies, like I'll just feel either my guides channeling through me or however it works. But there are times like if I start to go a direction, they're telling me like, don't go that direction with that channel, or don't say that thing. And I start to say that thing and they'll be like, nope. And they're like, they will do it. Like I'll feel them do it through like me. They'll like shut my mouth. I'll feel that flow like kind of close up a little bit. Like, no, we're not doing this. We're not channeling through you for this if you're going to go this direction. And then I'm like, I have to be like, okay, I understand. And what direction do you want me to go? And then either it's just not time for me to channel right now, or they'll be like, okay, let's redo this. And then I just have to get out of the way more, if that makes sense. Or I don't know if that's the perfect way to word it, because I don't know if I was really in the way in the first place. Maybe I like had a thought to say something. They're like, no, you don't say that. We're not going to be behind this. We're not going to be, supporting you saying this. So I don't know exactly the perfect way to describe it or like the exact semantics of what's going on, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. It's like, yeah, so I don't know why I'm on this like tirade with all these examples of this, but maybe it's helpful for you guys in some way. I'm gonna drink some water because my voice is all, it's doing whatever it's doing. So the next message here, what else would be nice good for us to get to here? I do feel like you guys are moving on to calmer waters is the next part of this message. So if you've been in choppy waters, it's going to be calmer soon. Even in like the next week or so is what I'm getting from whenever you're seeing this, but it could be the next month, or something like that. 30 days is what they're saying. So from whenever you're seeing it, I feel like this particular message is like 2 months at the latest, but things are going to start smoothing out for you, which is good here. So next thing they had ahead of time, I'm only on the second thing they had me channel through ahead of time, but they said you're getting an upgrade, which was kind of like collectively here for like everybody here. I feel like this is especially strong for like your gifts, and even like for something you've been working on is something I'm getting. I feel like it's just time. And again, like we're in upgrade season according to them. So like now through like August, and if you're watching this, it's timeless, so it'll just be like the next while for you. But it's just time for an upgrade is what I'm getting, like within you, regarding your gifts. So that'll be cool. The next thing they brought through ahead of time, excuse like the burps. Sometimes it's like people who are listening to this release, like I feel the release and I burp or something like that happens. And please excuse the cat who is like yelling outside the door here. He is, it's not really wet food time, but he wants it to be wet food time. So he's just yelling for wet food. I'm trying to train him out of that, by the way, and it's slowly working, but apparently we're not there yet. So the next message that came through ahead of time, they showed me a ghost, and they just said the universe is truly removing the things that don't serve you. So another one of those messages, I guess, but it's not happening. So with the ghost here, let's see. Let me get undistracted from the cat there. Sorry, guys. So again, you might feel like certain things are pulling a disappearing act from your life, but they're actually supposed to leave. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. I feel like it's going to get replaced like right away, as the message usually goes with things like that. So don't worry too much about that. And again, there might be things that seem important to you that are leaving, but they're actually not, is what I'm getting. The next message that came through ahead of time, and I feel like everyone got this message today or something similar, is they just gave the message like higher road. They just said like certain higher roads are coming in for you like strongly. So a lot of people are moving towards this where they're elevating or they're being shown a different, path, or they're just kind of being forced to change to a higher road and elevate. So if that's happening, don't worry about it too much. Like you'll be taken care of. For some of you, it is a new job or a new career. For others of you, it's just a new direction in life that you're being called to strongly. And I feel like you're going to love it. So that's actually really good here. I feel like we've been in process with this actually as well, especially this crowd here that this reading is for. You've been like in process of these changes, and it might have even been for like a while that, these new roads have been coming in and you're perpetually moving towards them or being drawn towards them, or you're just kind of like slowly making changes over time to prepare for this or whatever. So this will come in more blatantly soon, especially like over the summertime if you're seeing it now or soon after I post it, or I'm in the nearest future. But something's coming in regarding this as well. And it might even be surprising. Like maybe it happens all at once. You're like, or maybe it just, and it'll happen at the right time, but that's just kind of what I'm getting with that one. So I know dragon has been showing up for like every reading as well, but it's not what came through ahead of time. There's a dragon showing up for this one as well. It's like Eastern style. It's like rainbow colored. It's very unique, actually. I don't know how to describe this, but it almost has like an extra leg. It has like 5 legs, which is not anything I've seen before. So what's up with this 5-legged rainbow Eastern style dragon? It sounds like something out of a children's book or something. I don't know. Okay. Well, he had 5 legs, but then he kind of like, almost like a cartoon character. He kind of like did this like, groaning thing. And then he grew like a 6th leg, to balance it out here. So what the heck is the message for you guys though? So I do feel like you guys are expanding, and it might just be like a little bit weird as you expand, because it's kind of like kind of like how the dragon like is expanding, but then it has 5 legs, but that's like a little bit awkward, and it's kind of like an odd number of limbs. You're like, what's going on? And then it has like the 6th. You're like, oh, there it goes. And then you have like the 7th. You're like, oh, that's a little bit weird. And then it has the 8th. You're like, oh, okay. It makes sense. And like sometimes we're kind of expanding, and it's like a little bit messy, or it's like I guess the more common metaphor would be the caterpillar that completely dissolves as it goes into the cocoon before it turns into the butterfly and things like that. Like it's just a little bit like weird, or is amorphous a word, or just not, it's just, not normal. I feel like it's like a little bit messy if things are like, or it's okay if things are a bit like weird as you expand, like that's okay. It doesn't have to look pretty. You kind of just have to like get there, in life. So, if it's like messy and you're expanding, just keep going is what I'd say with all of that one. The other thing that's coming through with this dragon, is that the word mystical. Like dragons are typically seen as something quite mystical as well. So it could even be like a mystical expansion. So maybe like your gifts start coming online more, and you get like a baby version of a gift, and then it like expands into the full version or something like that. Like maybe maybe if you're newer to this and you start getting intuitive visuals, you start getting these intuitive visuals. You're like, oh, what is this? What am I seeing? Why am I seeing a rose? Or why am I seeing Donald Duck slapping the crap out of Mickey Mouse? And then then it's like it expands and like expands in the whole thing. You're like, oh, and you start to get like, I don't know, more fleshed out intuitive visuals, or you start to get more channel messages to explain them as you're seeing them, and it starts to make more sense. Or maybe I don't know, an example of how it can work for me is like maybe I'll be like, okay, what's going to happen if I go this direction? And they'll show me something that like doesn't make sense, like a pencil snapping in half. And like you'll kind of get the energy of it. You're like, what does that even mean? And then you go down this path, and like a certain conversation happens that's almost like a gut punch. And then you see the pencil snapping in your half. You're like, oh, that's what that meant. It was like, that was just a weird metaphor they showed me. But maybe like the visuals get better, as it fleshes out more and expands more, or it just makes more sense, or you get more in tune with it, or it starts turning up in a different way that you know what it means more. So, you get it. There's more with this though, so I haven't hit on all of it yet. The other side of this is, how like sometimes people would like, not most people, if people were like aware in an evolved place, or like familiar with the process or experience and growing at something, they probably wouldn't make fun of you for being a beginner and getting better at something. But if you're just starting out at something, you might be in a place where like you're trying to do something, and someone who's uninitiated with like a process of getting really good at something might make fun of you, because maybe you like make an art piece and it's just like it's like weird shapes and a stick figure, and maybe at the time that's like the best you can do. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't the best you can do, but it's what happens. And they're like making fun of you. But it's like if you keep making that art for like another year, all of a sudden it's going to be really awesome and pro, or a couple of years, or like it might take time, but it's kind of like that. It reminds me of that awkward phase where you're starting to get good at something, or you're working on getting good at something, but maybe it's like you're still expanding into that, or there's more to go. So just keep rolling with that, and like don't worry about it right now if it's something you really feel called to, is what I'd say. And I'm getting that's more along the lines of exactly what you needed to hear. So let's move on here. What's next here? They're showing me an axe next. It's like a woodcutter's axe. It's like stuck into a tree stump actually. So what's the message here with this woodcutter's axe here? I feel like there might be something that you've been building, because there's this woodcutter's axe, but then there's like the woodcutter, or the person who's cutting the wood to build something with it or something. He's kind of sitting and resting while this wood axe is in the stump. And he kind of doesn't want to get back to work, because like he knows what he's building is going to take a lot of work, whether it's and this metaphor could be for a business, or even like a relationship, or starting something new, or getting a new job. It could be a lot of different things. I feel like business is pretty strong with this one though. And that's the word they're giving me. But I kind of feel like he actually does need to get back on the horse, even if it is going to be a lot of work. I feel like in some ways regarding this scenario, break time might be over. It's going to be over soon. And like this person might be reluctant to like start working again on this thing, but it's like, it's necessary, and it's going to do great things. So if you've been putting off like a big project, or trying to get back on the horse with something you've been taking a break from, I feel like now's the time, or very soon is the time. And even if it's a lot of work, it's worth it. And if this isn't going to be literally it, but if this person who was working on this project just kept resting forever, they just wither away and die. It's like they need to get back on the horse here or something. And it doesn't really make sense for them to quit either, because I just feel like they're so close. This is you, of course. I feel like you're so close to whatever you're moving towards, even if it takes a certain amount of work. So if there's been something you've been taking a break from that's like a big project or something, or even if it's like exercising and like getting in shape, or it could be a business, it could be a number of different things. Like I'd try to get back on the horse for whatever that's resonating for you for. So the last thing that came through ahead of time here, well, actually there were two more things. I didn't read these yet. There was a message that there's like a world of new beginnings for you. Like they just gave the phrase new beginning. A lot of you are headed towards a new beginning, especially in the next couple months from whenever you're seeing this. So brace yourself for that. There might be a lot of endings right now, but it's well worth the new beginnings that are coming in, of course. Anything else with that here? I just feel like there's going to be a lot of blossoming for you. They're showing like a field of flowers and flowers blossoming. So, and they're saying that there's going to be a lot of blossoming for you. So I feel like there's going to be more blossoming for you than you realize, especially as you move towards your new beginnings, whatever that is, whether that's just moving or that's a new whatever. I just feel like that's going to be good here. The last thing that came through ahead of time, as they sometimes bring through for the water signs, they showed me a pirate. They just said, you're going to be slaying your demons of the past. So I hesitate to even use that word, but if there's been any, not that you're literally going to be like slaying people, of course, but if there's been anything from your past that's been like haunting you or been like tripping you up, I feel like you're going to be like laying it to rest. And they're giving me the word brutal. So maybe you're even doing it in kind of like a metaphorically brutal fashion that might even be warranted, but that is kind of what I would be doing or working through. And I feel like it's going to work. I feel like you're going to make headway with this, which is good. If you feel like perpetually haunted by anything, it's definitely time to work on that. And like, as far as examples of what that could be, it could be a relationship that haunts you that you need to work on letting go of. It could be trauma, but they didn't want me to use that example, but I just said it, so I'm sorry. Could be a number of different things, but I feel like you are going to be slaying these and moving forward. So that'll be good here. There's at least one more message before we part ways with this reading as well. There's showing you just like a cup, and it actually looks like a sippy cup. There was this one, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but they showed this to me. There was this one, I used to live in Denver, and there was this venue or something where they'd have it would be like roller skate night. So you'd go to this venue and they'd have like a bar set up. And so you could buy alcohol and you would roll around on roller skates and drink while they blasted music in the center of this like kind of warehouse kind of area. And maybe some of you are familiar with what this is. And what they do is you'd order a drink and they'd give it to you in a sippy cup, because people would, as you might understand as the night goes on, just like fall on their ass over and over and over again and have like major spills. And if they gave it like an open beverage, there'd just be like water and like alcohol and ice all on the track, and then people would slip on that. And so like I think the first time they didn't have sippy cups, and like this, I only went like a few times. The second or third they did, which was actually hilarious. But they had like children's sippy cups. Why are they showing me this? I didn't get to that yet myself. So what actually are we getting to here with this? Give me 1 second here. I think sometimes the universe just has more precaution for us than we realize. We think things can tank really easily, but they can't. Like we think you can mess this thing up that's for you really easily, but it'd be really difficult for you too. So I feel like the universe is just putting precautions in place for you, or it already has precautions in place for you. So it's kind of like in a better way than this, because I know this example might seem a little bit overbearing, but like, how a parent might like wrap everything in foam so their kid doesn't hurt themselves. If they, like, maybe there's a metal poles in the basement and they wrap the metal pole in foam so kids don't like bust their head open on the metal pole while they're running around being kids or things like that. There are a lot of precautions put in place for you, so don't worry too much is what I'd say, like regarding changes you're making or changes that are happening. I feel like it's really all going to be okay here. So I'm going to close the reading there unless they have anything last second they want to bring through here. Like they are showing me a Jolly Rancher candy. They're also showing me like a vanilla Tootsie Roll, which are a bit rarer, I think, as far as Tootsie Rolls go. What are the messages here? It's funny because with the Jolly Rancher, what they're showing me is it's almost like the universe is putting down these like Jolly Ranchers on like your path so that you'll be like, oh, a Jolly Rancher, and you pick it up and you're like, oh, another one, and you go down this specific path because that stereotypical like cartoon thing where cartoon characters will put like sandwich, like a trail of sandwiches or something for the other person, and it like leads them to a certain destination. Or I guess like isn't it like Hansel and Gretel, which isn't a great story, but like there's the breadcrumbs that they follow to and unfortunately end up in the witch's hut, right? For that story, unfortunate. And this one isn't a bad thing, which is why I hesitated to kind of use some of those worse examples for that. It's more just like it's not like the universe is literally breadcrumbing you, or it's like not giving you something, or like there's the negative connotation of breadcrumbing and dating and things like that. But it's kind of like leading you to something through like breadcrumbs. So you might get a lot of like little rewards as you go down your path, or to keep encouraging you along. So if you keep getting little rewards as you move forward with things, keep moving forward is what I'd say with that one. So we're going to close it there. I hope that was helpful, resonated. Of course, do whatever was for your highest good. And as you haven't noticed, if you didn't catch me saying it earlier, I'm doing modern art check marks, so they don't look like check marks. They're very loose and just they do whatever they want. So you're welcome, the authentic mystic. So we're probably going to do a full channel mode message. I think I've been doing this for 3 hours now, so you're welcome, Dana. Best check marks you've ever seen. Dang right. Love the extra expression. Thank you, Dana. I love the creative approach to the check. Thank you very much. I appreciate your You're welcome. Do you put this on YouTube? Yes, I do post these on YouTube, usually the day after, so it'll probably be up tomorrow on Monday. So the replays will be there, and that's if you missed like your other signs or came to this late, oh, I can see that. Yeah, it looks like the Taurus symbol. I can see that. Are those cat heads on the top of the whiteboard? No, I see how you would think that. Those are actually, and I know they're very small, so they're kind of difficult to see, maybe from your guys' vantage point through the screen, because I see it here too. But they're actually 3 channeled symbols that are specifically more geared towards energy clearing and energy work for the highest good. So I know they look like cat ears, but if you saw them a little bit bigger, they might still look like cat ears, but they're not. Is what I'd say. So. Where can we see the replay? Yeah, so if you go to my YouTube channel, which is it's you can either, I think, find it through my Linktree on my TikTok account bio, or you can just look up Channeling Source on YouTube. I know on TikTok it's Channeling Source with 2 L's. For YouTube it's 1 L. It's Channeling space Source. I believe my YouTube handle is at Channeling Source with 1 L. So that is where you'll find it on YouTube. Are they sigils? They are channeled energy work symbols, actually. And to be honest, I haven't like looked into, I've met people and talked a little bit about sigils and have like some experience with them. What I'm getting is that's not necessarily what those are. They're actually channeled like symbols that, are for energy work. Or if you think of like maybe not literally the Reiki symbols, because it's a different symbology that I was given. But if you think of like how one might work with Reiki symbols, it's maybe similar to that, but different. So I don't know if that explains it well, but hopefully that makes sense. I like how they're like cups. Yeah, they're kind of like cups or like bowls or something like that. Totally. Okay. So I am probably going to do a full channel mode message here in a second. I'm kind of getting not yet. I might hold off for like a second, but you have a great rest of your day. You must be getting tired. I'm starting to feel it. The 3-hour mark is definitely when you start to feel, I think, or at least me, where I'm at right now. Maybe some people don't feel it or whatever, but you're welcome. Can you please review your upcoming For Fires Zoom class this Saturday, 5:20? I can talk about it. I loved your book. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear it. My Tinder story. Oh, I could talk about that too. So the 4 angelic fires, it's different than these guys because these were symbols I received it was a modality that was going to be called Valeumi. And it might still do something with those symbols, but just a little bit different. I did put them on like merch on like a merch store at like valeu.com if you're interested. If not, no worries. But because they might kind of go through a different iteration of what I do with them. But the 4 angelic fires are a newer modality I received early. I started receiving them and getting them channeled through early 2022 is when that happened. And pretty much they are, it kind of evolved beyond that. It's 4, I guess, energies or fires that have to do with particular archangels, and you work with them for energy healing, essentially. So, honestly, the feedback has been out of this. It's been really, really good. It's been really amazing. So I've been really excited about those because of that. And I should probably get a better elevator pitch for these because I'm realizing I'm not quite sure what would be best for me to say as I go to explain this. So I want to ask them to see what would be highest for me to say about this. But they're like a really potent energies to work with for healing. As far as right now, there's a lot of information about like the fire specifically, how to work with them, what they each do, and things like that as you learn with them. With different modalities, there can sometimes be a bit of like a framework of like how you might particularly do a session, if that makes sense. To me, some of the best sessions I've had from others and how I probably tend to do any healing sessions I would facilitate myself is just intuitively and how I'm divinely guided to do it, whether that goes along with a particular framework or not. So I don't necessarily yet have a structure I've received of like, oh, you have to do a session this way with this specific protocol. It's, for these fires yet. But if you're someone who already does like Reiki sessions or already does like a healing modality already, it's going to be very easy to incorporate these new fires into what you're already doing as you are divinely guided to work with them, if that makes sense. Which is the way I tend to teach working with them anyways. So in some ways it's, like with Reiki or certain other healing modalities, you bring the energy through you and then out your hands. You do something like that with this. It's similar that way. So if you feel drawn to it and you have you feel like it's for you, I do have a class this Saturday. I forget what time, but it's sometime in the afternoon, Central Time. And you can sign up on my website, is what I'd say with that one. So, but it's just a really potent energy work modality. Not just, but it's a potent energy work modality. Right now I have, they don't want me to say too much more about it, but I've taught, I have the first class, which is the 4 angelic fires. There's another class after that called the Metatron class, which is more like you got distance work and some new fires to work with as well. And there's going to be some more classes after that, at least 2 more. So, and then it will be, it's going to be kind of, well, we'll see how it evolves. I don't want to say something and then they change it on me, but eventually there will be like, teachers for it and things like that besides just me. So that's the way it's going right now. Leo, the answer is yes, is what I'm getting to say to that. Like, you'll be able to work with it to heal yourself. You'll be able to work with it for sessions on others. And people already are using it on, sessions for others and for themselves. So, I don't want to pigeonhole you and say you can't be a healer without it, of course, but, Yes, it will add to that, if that makes sense. Lainey, you're asking me during our one-on-one, you said a crystal grid would be helpful. Do I do it on Metatron's cube? Yeah, I would try that. I'm getting yes to try that. Off topic, but I love your sense of humor. I'm always laughing along with you. Thank you. I know I appreciate that. That's I appreciate that a lot. That's cool. Happy Mom Day. Good to see you, Emily. Happy Mom Day to you as well. And happy Mother's Day to anyone that is tuning in. And I haven't said happy Mother's Day to yet here. So someone was asking about the Tinder story that I had. All I was going to say with that was there was a time where I downloaded like a bunch of dating apps, but then I like didn't, it made more sense in the context of the reading maybe, but what I was trying to say is like downloading those apps as like an intention for love is good, even if you don't even swipe on them. Because I remember there was a time where I downloaded like 4 different like dating apps, and then I never even like, I mean, I'd done Tinder before, but I just didn't reset it up. I just had it on my phone, and I think I had a couple others as well. And it was interesting because I had the way that things manifested for me in love. Like for me, it was just a few months after that. And I'm not promising you'll get those exact results, but the way it turned out and the way the love manifested, like kind of had to do with just some of the the details of what those apps typically entailed. It was really interesting. But it worked out. So what I was going to say is like, if you don't even use those apps, maybe even at least try having them on your phone as an intention to manifest love. If you're looking to do that, if you're single and things like that. So that's what I was going to say with that story. Well, that's fair, Dana. Yeah, there's no obligation to. It was just for those who feel called to that idea, it might be helpful. Oh, thanks, Leo. I appreciate that. I'm very flattered. Thank you so much, Emily. I appreciate it. I think that's a good idea, Dana. And even if whether you swipe on the dating app or not, even if it doesn't work out, you're at least like moving the energies in that direction and manifesting it to the universe. You're at least trying something new. You're at least, I don't know if another way you could say it is you're showing the universe you're serious, I guess, by taking action on it in some way. And again, it might not show up through that dating app. It's just, it might show up in a completely unrelated way, but I don't know. Yeah, I hear you. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. You're welcome, Dana. You're welcome. So we kind of went through, I guess, what we were supposed to kind of talk about, and we are going to start the full channel mode message in just a second here. I'm at the start of a new thing where I'm not sure if it's a lesson or a blessing. Yeah, I hear you. I'd hang in there and keep going with it. I wouldn't run. They don't want me to tell you anything, so I'm sorry. What is the theme? We hanging, we channeling, we vibing. We will be channeling, and then maybe we'll be hanging, but we're just hanging, but we're going to be channeling. But we've been channeling while we've been hanging, sort of, sometimes. You know the drill. So I'm going to go full channel mode now in just a second. So as far as the theme I'm getting for this one, they're showing me a ladybug, for instance, but I don't know how much that's going to tie in or not here. What I'm getting is to just start the channel, and they will tell you the theme, so I'm cool with that. So for anyone new here, which I don't think is going to be too many of you, but full channel mode, as I call it, is me just directly channeling my spirit guides, the angels, and source. So pretty much what it is I just close my eyes and I let them speak through me, and or they speak a message through me. There's a couple different aspects to it. Of course, there's the message, the verbal information and message. There's also the energetic transmission from source, fully for the highest good, of course. It comes along with the message to just facilitate any healing, any upgrading, any shifts that would be for your highest good. So it can be, the way I've heard it described before is it can be like a healing session, I suppose. And I'll just borrow from how I've heard it described before for this. And this one might be different, but we'll see. So I'm going to take just another second before we start here. So I'm very sorry. For whatever reason, they're telling me to use the bathroom before I start this, because I do have to use the restroom very quickly. So it might be like 30 seconds to a minute, but I will be right back. And I'm sure those of you who are meant to stick around will stick around. Those of you who are not will not. But I'm going to be back in like a minute or two, and then we'll start that. So I'll be right back. And I'm back. This chair is pretty comfortable actually. It's yeah, it's not bad. It's good. The mic I use, this is called HyperX. I can't remember if it's like Quadcast or what, but I just know the brand is HyperX. If you Google HyperX, it should show up. Okay, so we're gonna start the channel in just a second here, and some of the things I'm actually getting for this channel are they're showing me a beetle and giving me the word sturdiness, and there's a lot of different things that don't seem like a direct message like flight, but I'm sure it'll make more sense as we dive in. I'm just getting a lot of visuals and like random words, like they're showing me a cheetah and things like that. So let's dive in. Usually how this works is I'll close my eyes, they'll start coughing, and then they'll start, they usually do a little laugh and then they start channeling. So let's get this started. Welcome, Forward Moving Collective. For what's happening right now is an ever acceleration of your pathways and the changes that are occurring on Earth. And you may have heard this from many others of how the pace of things is speeding up, how the changes are speeding up, the ascension is speeding up, if you will use that term. And that will not really slow down, for you are also speeding up within yourselves to be able to process faster, process life, process what has happened to you. There's so much is happening so quickly that your systems need to upgrade in order to process faster the life that is being thrown your way and that you are moving through. And this is, of course, an upgrade. You'll be able to process life more easily through this upgrade over time, and you'll become great pros at transmuting the energies you need to move through in order to ascend or move higher, evolve, whatever terminology or phrase you choose or resonates most for you at this time with what is occurring for humanity and the Earth through this shift of the ages, this shift of consciousness, if you will, this increased amount of light hitting the Earth. As things speed up and move forward more quickly, as you begin to process more quickly, things will also begin to manifest more quickly. We've spoken to this before, but we'd like to speak to it again for this crowd as a reminder, and also so that the transmission can start to hit on these edges of these obstacles you've been running up against when it comes to your manifestation and creating a life you desire or creating more of what you desire. And to speak to and start to potentially remove some of the obstacles in the way of you getting there more quickly. some of the energetic encodement with this message literally is getting your systems to process faster, should it be in the highest good and at the right pace for each of you. So you do not need to worry about that message or think this is going to mess you up, because it won't. But one of the upgrades also going on at this time is your manifestation. That is one of the main things we would like to speak to at this time, because it is going to get easier to manifest for all of you going forward at the right pace for each of you. You are all ascending into that reality where reality is more easily created by you. Your life is more easily created by you and your intentions. And yes, in alignment with the divine, going along with source. This does not ignore the divine guidance or the way that the divine holds everything and divinely guides and orchestrates everything. This goes in tandem with that. And the more you wake up with that and wake up to that and work alongside of that, the faster you'll be able to move along the handrail of your life, so to speak, and begin to create more of what you'd like to see along with the divine and along with what the divine is trying to create through you and with you. Because you all came here to create. You might have heard it said before that you are creators. And this is true in more ways than one. You are creators in your creativity and any paintings you create and any poetry you create, any books you write, anything you manifest into the world through your efforts. You are creators through your intention, through the energies you embody, through the consciousness that you be, through what you create through your consciousness and working with consciousness. And this might be a bit more abstract for some of you. For those of you who have manifested things, you know how it works for you, or you have had a taste of that, this will be less abstract. But you can create through your intention alone. One of the upgrades occurring is that manifestation will be more intentional. Perhaps in the past you felt you had to jump through hoops to create your manifestations, to make something happen. But if you are working along with the divine, things are going to be a bit more streamlined in that regard, because more people are waking up to manifestation and how it actually works. And by the way, how it works can upgrade. How it works can evolve, as you do, as the collective does. That's part of the message. Manifestation is upgrading. And if manifestation is upgrading, why can't you just go there to manifestation being fully upgraded? Why can't you shortcut it if it's infinite and unlimited? Well, some of you can. Some of you could leap to a higher way of manifestation now. Your vibration would allow it. You could hold that in your reality. You are ready for that. There are others of you, there is shifting that needs to occur within yourself, in your belief systems, in your energies, to allow things to show up more easily for you. And that is in part also what this message is about. You opening up to that. And really, what we're also doing with this is opening possibilities. Possibilities are the name of the game in the future with manifestation, with how the world works. For your possibilities have been, in a way, pigeonholed by the collective, by the powers that be, if you will use that phrase, in the past. Especially the past 1,200 years or so, though it could span back further, depending on what area you are looking at. The thing is, the powers that be cannot contain manifestation or creation. The creative power that is you cannot be manhandled, suppressed for too long. It is a bit like trying to suppress the ocean. You can only compress the ocean so much. It does not work. It does not work that way. Water does not break, per se. Not in the way pertaining to this message, at least. So what we are speaking to is your creator power and creative energy and manifestation abilities rising once again. And this is a key area to focus on. It might seem silly or trite. Some of you might be thinking of all the people who are not there, who are speaking in a voice that really denotes they're not there, perhaps even drunk in a bar speaking about manifestation in a very silly voice. And you might deem it a bit silly when you've seen some of the examples of how other peoples have used that word, but it is not very silly. When you realize this is a superpower you can own and hone in and work on, and a skill you can develop, and something you can get more in tune with and utilize to create more and more and more, and as things become more streamlined in the collective, and it becomes more of a way of being for you, rather than just a task you undergo every once in a while, suddenly you are more in your power because you can create moment by moment, day by day. It becomes a tool in your tool belt with which to create your life on a grander scale. So do not overlook a manifestation as a tool you can utilize in your life, or a tool you can get good with working with in your life to create things and to bring in what you need, what you desire, etc. Because you could change the world with it if you were to get good enough with it. Some of you already can. You know who you are. You already have, through your ability to created change in the world on a vast scale, because it is possible once you are aligned with Source and the higher realms, and you are working with this for the highest good, and realize your power and potency and realize what's possible. It is possible to do this. We have said this before. We are reminding you not to overlook manifestation as a tool in your tool belts. It is one of the ways you could drastically change your life. If you'd like to look at it in a personal growth lens, or with a personal growth edge, sometimes, and not always, things can happen with ease, but sometimes as you manifest something, you are forced through a growth period to have what you are manifesting, to create what you are creating. Sometimes you are actually improving yourself, not just your world, through manifesting and showing yourself what you can do, but also becoming the person that has what you are creating, has the reality you're creating, has the thing, the person, the place. So do not overlook what it might be doing for you on that level. Your skill sets around manifestation are expanding, or will be soon for the vast majority of you tuning in. Some of you are newer to this. We would advise you to just go on your journey. Try things out, try things on a small scale, see how it works for you, and grow and go from there. Your experience will be gold for you regarding manifestation. For as you get the experience with it and see how it works for you, you can keep expanding that, you can keep learning, you can get better and better, and you become a partner of the universe, of Source, in creating your reality and in creating the world you would like to see. And next we will move on to happiness as a topic. That is where the ladybug comes in, by the way. If you were wondering how that played into all of this. Many of you are moving out of a phase where unhappiness is necessary. There has been a phase where you have been taught that unhappiness is necessary. We are not trying to sell you rainbows and butterflies with this, but rather a possibility. What if you can be happy more often? What if you can be in joy more often? What if it is possible? What if you can create that if it does not seem possible right now? What if you can create the world you'd like to see? The feelings you'd like to feel? Because happiness is a possibility that's opening up in the collective more and more. It might sound silly, but more people are realizing the importance of happiness in life, joy in life, and how that fits in with your experience here. For happiness begins to create more happiness. Joy begins to create more joy. And as you put a focus on these things, and we are not talking about short-term sugar rush happiness that you might get out of a, let's say, an online argument on the internet where you get this rush of excitement and chemicals through your brain. We are talking about a lasting happiness, a peace, a joy, a sustainable happiness. That is going to be a key to your manifestation. For as you are in joy or moving towards that or taking note of that in what you are creating, For some of you, only some, you might want to create something for the status of it. And there's nothing wrong with this. You might be trying to heal a childhood wound by proving you can have something, be something, do something, create something. You can be something besides who your mother said you were, your father, your friends. There's nothing wrong with this per se, and it would be a great lesson to achieve this thing, and it could lead to many other great things if you were to achieve this thing that could be more of a status symbol for you rather than a direct happiness, whether it's owning a specific car, or a specific business, etc. You know the common examples. And that could open up a world where you could be happy in the future, either because it allows a financial stability that allows you to craft what makes you happy from there, even if it drastically changes your world and you have to move away from everything you built, or whether you don't have to. But as you move towards joy, you're going to be manifesting more and more and more and more joy. As you move towards happiness, you'll be manifesting more and more and more and more happiness. So we would advise you to include in some of your manifestations what would make you happy, what would bring you joy, and cast that line out to the universe and see what the universe delivers to you that makes you happy, that brings you joy. And of course, again, we mean a sustainable, lasting happiness. Because the better a place you can be, the better a place you can create. You coming from a better place creates a better place. Now, don't beat up on yourself if you are sad, depressed, not in a good place for the few of you that do not feel you are in a good place listening to this. That does not mean you are going to create more crap because you are in this crappy place. It is just something to work out of, something to move through, something that is teaching you something, a challenge that is growing you per se. But you might ask yourself, what is the next step that could bring me just a little more happiness, a little more joy? What is the next step I could take that would make me move towards or bring me to a smidge more happiness in my world? It might be as simple as buying yourself a small stuffed animal that you love. Could be buying yourself a coffee when you never buy yourself a coffee. It could be very small. But these small acts of self-love that increase your happiness just a bit, if you keep moving towards them, if you keep making space for them, are going to open up much more happiness for you, or can. Happiness is the name of the game in the future, and that might, again, sound silly, as happiness can sometimes be seen as frivolous. But wouldn't you rather live your whole life joyfully and happily to the best of your ability? Than sad but with money? Than angry and upset but with a hot person? To use some common examples. And by the way, you can be happy and have tons of money. You can be at peace and content and joyful and be with a hot person. The last thing we would like to do is limit you. But we are giving you these examples because we feel this would move you towards happiness and opening space for that along with your other manifestations. So maybe you're not ready to let go of something that would bring you more status as an individual. But you could open up your manifestations a bit to the universe. Okay, what would bring me this thing, but also happiness? What would bring me both? What would bring me more joy along with this other thing I truly feel I would like to manifest for whatever reason? Because that can open up both. And maybe it leads you away from certain things that were more status-based. Maybe it expands it. But if you are happy, you will be much more content and attracting much better. And remember that how you feel in your experience is important. If you are doing great things in the world, but you are suffering because of it, it may not be worth it. Even if your story is you are doing great things in the world as you are suffering. And since biblical times, many of you have been taught, many have been taught to suffer for others, to excise their happiness for others, to excise their joy for the world. But again, you can have both. You do not have to write out yourself for the sake of others. You do not have to write off your life for the sake of others' lives. You came here to have an experience, did you not? We've said it before, we'll say it again. You did not come here to suffer overly much, unless you need to go through something to teach you, as we have said. So this is your reminder to pursue your happiness, not to get lost in the opinions of others. And a reminder that it is not a frivolous thing to neglect and forget, but something to move towards, something to help you create, something to make a partner in your life. What if you made joy your partner? What if you were checking up on your joy as you moved through your world? And you asked Joy, how are we doing right now? How are me and my Joy doing right now? If you're not doing so great, perhaps you are processing something, grieving, that's okay. But if you are out of those phases and you are not in joy and you're not sure what to do, now might be a great day to ask what would bring you joy today. Because again, you will be attracting better from that place. We do not mean to speak in circles. We do not mean to sound redundant. There are points we need to make, and there's also an energy with this, as you know, as you've heard. There's also a healing with this. So we are trying to open up happiness within you, or the seeds that will lead you to happiness, or birth it for you. Again, so you can begin to create better. Because this collective doing better is going to make the world do better. As above, so below. This collective being happy is going to bring happiness to all. Again, sometimes you may have to put on your big boy or big girl pants. Or big agendered pants. You might have to do something you don't want to do. But that does not mean put joy on the back burner forever. Again, what if you saw joy as a partner? Okay, Joy, we've got to go to work today. We don't really want to do this, but what would help me keep you alive, regardless? Is it listening to this type of music? Okay, let's put this on. Okay, Joy, we have to have this conversation. This seems like it might break me. Perhaps I'm being a bit dramatic, but it seems like it might break me. What would help me keep you alive through this or after this? And maybe it's simply a realization that even if this other person leaves your life, there will be joy for you in the future. There will be other people. And even if you have to be sad or grieve or process, it will come back. And that might help you move through the world a little bit differently, because you will be focused on more than just what is the next thing, what is the next step, what is it that I'm worried about. You're focused on what would bring me more joy. And that focus is going to transform everything, depending on where you're at with this journey, of course. We leave you with that message. May the highest and best to transpire transpire. May you find the right roads for you. And we are wishing you well. We are wishing you joy and happiness. And we wish you, for those of you recovering from anything, a speedy recovering from anything you are recovering from. Farewell for now. Signing out, the angelic collective of Zorbital and Source. Take care. You're welcome, sober girl. You're welcome, Em. And they say you're welcome too. Of course. Makes a lot of sense. Perfect, Jessica. I needed that. Perfect, sober girl. So glad to hear it. You're so welcome, Sydney. So good. That's such a great vibration. Awesome to hear it. Always, always, always part of the aim, for sure. Thank you, Kelly. Oh, and good to see you, Kelly. I remember you. I mean, I'm dating a Gemini, but if it doesn't work out, never again. You're welcome, guys. You're so welcome. Thank you, Destiny. That means so much. I'm so glad to hear it. I appreciate all of you. That was amazing. Thank you, Brenna. You're welcome. More joy. Heck yeah. You're welcome, Jessica. You're welcome, Panda Isles. You're welcome, Esperanza. You're welcome, Bliss Lotus. Thank you, Bliss Lotus. I'm so glad to hear it's helpful. Heck yeah, Jessica. Heavy lifting done by Spirit from me this time around, and I say thank you so much. I'm free. Heck yeah. You're killing it. Well done. Thank you, lady. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. Okay. I love it, sober girl. Enjoy. Painting a ladybug now. I love that. I love that. You're welcome, lady. I love that. Who's wishing everyone here more joy? Kathleen. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you. 2 a.m. here, but so we're staying for the amazing messages. Hey, that means a lot, Dana. I'm so glad to hear it's worth it. Go get some good rest when you can. Oh, thanks for the fireworks, Kathleen. I appreciate it. Heck yeah, let's keep all feeling better all week. I love that. Let's do it. Whew, okay. So I want to say I really appreciate you guys. It is always an honor to be here. I appreciate getting to do this. It's a joy for me to get to do this. So thank you. It means a lot to, of course, get to do this for you guys. Thank you so much for being here today. That was peaceful. You're so welcome, Elena. I'm so glad to hear it. You're welcome, Countipa. I'm going to do, well, I might give 1 second before I do this, but manifestations and happiness, they were in sync. Perfect. Glad to hear it. Brooke Bassett, we appreciate you and your team. Thank you, and thank you for everyone here today. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, Oasis, good to see ya. I'm doing well. Me too, Moni. I hope everyone here is feeling taken care of. Me too. You're welcome, Panda. Absolutely. There are multiple pandas in the chat, so I have to be more descriptive in the usernames. Probably not going to do guitar today. It's already been almost 4 hours, so awesome first live. Awesome, Esperanza. So glad to hear it. Thank you so much for the space you've created. It's like an oasis. Speaking of oases, oh, thank you so much, Andy Pandy Pie. You're so welcome. So I'm getting told to do just and you don't have to stay for this if you don't want to, by the way, but just a little bit of just quick promotion stuff. So I'm just going to run through a few things I've got going on, and that I think we might hang out for a bit, but I'll probably close it live because it's been a long time. But I do have a monthly membership if you're interested. I'll still be here live every week, so don't worry. Still doing all the normal free content, but if you're interested, there's a lot of long full channel mode messages like that last one. There's channel guided meditations. There's channel timeless readings. Melissa, off to Joyful, do my homework soon. Awesome. Enjoy. I hope it actually is joyful and awesome for you. You got this. But that's an offering I have if you're interested. I did also come out with something called the Red Package last month, actually. And I think there's still you still get $10 off of that if you sign up for the mailing list, if you feel called to that. But that's just 3 channeled MP3s to heal and the root chakra and to help manifest stability and bring that in. So there's a long channeled message, which of course has the channel transmission. There's the channel guided meditation, and also an audio energy healing session, which is like spoken word energy healing. So if you're drawn to that, that's another example. Another example. I'm so in habit mode from readings. I just say example after every sentence now. That's that's another thing. If you're drawn to it, you can try that for $10 off if you sign up through the newsletter, or membership gets a bigger discount. And besides that, I do have some classes coming up. There's an energy work class this week. If you're interested in intro to channeling or learning how to channel, there's intro to channeling on June 3rd, Saturday. And I think I have Reiki Master, but I forgot to email the people who took Reiki 2 about that. So I'm not sure. I need to reach out to them. That's in like 2 weeks or so. So I might need to delay that and actually talk to people about who are interested in that, about showing if they want to show up. And I think that's kind of it for right now as far as what I have going on. Of course, I'm on Instagram and YouTube and post there as well, free content. So that's it. You are welcome, Honeycomb Hideout. Thank you so much. You and your team inspire and motivate me so much. That means so much. And you are so welcome. So you are so welcome. Brett, your book was so helpful. I found you on TikTok 2021 and got the book. It was a foundation book. Perfect. I'm so glad to hear it, Brett. I'm so glad to hear that was helpful and offered that to you. So thank you for letting me know. So I guess that's a reminder. I have a book. If you haven't heard of it, it's Spirit Guides, Angels, and Speaking with Source. It's meant to be just another way you could start looking into starting channeling. And it does talk a lot about a few different things. So I'm always glad to hear it's been helpful for the people who got it and stuff like that. But you can check that out too. Oh, that's awesome. You recently gifted yours to a friend. I mean, that's meaningful that you felt called to gift it. So I appreciate that. That's cool. It's interesting watching this book kind of make the rounds it is. Because it's not like I forgot about it, but in some ways I've kind of moved to different projects. And so I sometimes forget it's still out there doing its thing. So I'm always really honored and glad to hear how it's moving out there and helping people. So that's cool. Do you recommend any Reiki videos? As far as like watching Reiki, I don't know if you, Divine White Light on YouTube, if you're looking for like Reiki sessions through videos, is probably one of the channels I'd recommend for just watching some Reiki. I know there's some others out there, so there might be some like smaller channels I haven't encountered that are really good as well. Or but as far as like the ones I've encountered, I kind of go through phases where I'm guided to watch some and then guided not to watch them, depending on where I'm at. But that would be a channel I'd recommend if you're just looking to try some Reiki videos and get some Reiki. Oh, that's awesome. I introduced her to your work and content, and it's resonated a lot for her. Very fun to see. Thank you, Handy Pandy Pie. Well, I'm so glad to hear it, honestly, and it means a lot that you feel called to talk about it to other people. So. I know you wouldn't do that if it didn't resonate and help. So you're welcome. Plant more trees. I've noticed my social accounts I'm not on a lot blow up. Funny how that happens. That is funny how that happens sometimes. um, okay, so I know like I'm gonna close the live soon probably because I am. It's been like 4 hours, but I am kind of like your book. Oh yeah, no, totally. I see what you're saying, Lainey. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Can you shout out my girl Jenna Tells? Hi, Jenna. Divine White Light Reiki on YouTube. Yes, that would be just the one that I was getting, would be good to say. And this one. Okay. I love you guys. I'm not ready to sign out yet. They're not ready to sign out. I wanted to say thank you. I always kind of hesitate to talk about it because I don't want to like put too much of the focus on it. But at the same time, I want to thank you guys because I know like the last couple lives, you guys have been like going wild with the likes and the hearts. And I just looking at it, we got to 135,000 likes, which is really awesome for so I just want to say thank you for anyone who was doing that and working on that and felt called to do that because that I think that does help the live get out to more people and stuff like that. And but of course, there's never an obligation. So thank you guys for who just felt called to do that. And I remember last time I think the reason I'm saying thank you too is I think there was should I really talk about this? I'll just talk about it really quickly. I don't feel like I should, but I think I'll just say it. But I was flipping through lives randomly sometime recently and just was seeing like different number of lives. And I tend not to just overly focus on the number of viewers here, but really just focus on, delivering what's for me to deliver here for who is here. And I noticed that for the number of viewers, I tend to have and the amount of likes I get a pretty awesome ratio. And that's you guys. So thank you is all I'm trying to say. Brooke is asking, can you suggest a good platform for discovering our own spiritual gifts? Oof. I mean, I would actually like to create more content on it or something. I don't know if this is what you're asking, and hopefully I'm not butchering the answer, but it can be a bit of a journey depending that you kind of have to go on through, what's the best way for me to say this? One, here's what I'll recommend. If you feel called to learn any type of modality, it doesn't have to be with me, but whether it's Reiki or anything like that, like Reiki is a great starter. Energy work modalities are a great start to opening up your gifts. One, because of the attunements and how that opens you up and how working with that, whether you want to say working with that higher vibrational energy or working with it, that can also open up latent gifts and start to spark that awake more and open you up more is one way to start doing that. Plus, when you're learning a modality, whether it's Reiki, something else, you'll tend to put yourself in situations where you're going to practice your intuition because you'll be either doing sessions for other people, if you're doing like trades as you're learning as a practitioner, or your self sessions. So you kind of get a double whammy where you're practicing your intuition more and holding more space for it to show up, your gifts, however they show up. And like, and you're just getting the energies that are going to open it up, as well. Anything you're drawn to outside of that, whether it's like cards or astrology or something else where you're working with your intuition. I don't know if all those are the perfect example. But another part of like your gifts and opening up is also like literally practicing them, as like lame as that sounds. Because as you're putting in the work to like uncover these things and get the experience with it, open it up more, it's going to open up more and more and more. Another thing I could pull from is I remember there's this channel named Lee Harris that I still listen to. I like a lot of his work. I listened to him a lot over the years. And one thing he talked about for people learning to like channel specifically is like, even if you sit down to practice channeling, you don't get anything right away. If you don't, because you might. And most people seem to. Excuse me. you're still practicing getting in the frequency of receiving messages. So like keep showing up and like practicing getting in that frequency is another thing I'd say. But the reason I'd say like you have to go on the journey is for some of the reasons I kind of already spelled out. Is like, one, meeting the people who work with their gifts and kind of learning from them and kind of getting a sense of what's possible. Two, like if you're setting that intention, moving that direction, you're meant to do it. The universe will just definitely open up the opportunities, the people, the experiences you need to be walked through to open up your gifts and learn how they work and get the practice with them and experience with them to start to trust them and work with them more and opening them up. And two, like going on the journey is like putting in the work, like through like learning modality, working with it, getting the practice with like cards or whatever intuitive tool you're working with to you start to get the messages and things like that. So I feel like that's about all you need to hear from me, and I don't know what else I might have more to say, but I'd say like as far as a starting place, I know you might have like been looking for like a very specific, like go to this school, talk to this person or things like that. And for some people that might work. And for others, they need to go on their own journey and experiences to open themselves up in the right ways that they're meant to, if that makes sense. So that's where I'm being guided to stop. So I hope that was helpful, at least as a starting place. Brooke. That was a perfect explanation. Perfect. Weird question. Is it possible to attend your classes in person by chance, like intro to channeling? Maybe in the future, but right now, not quite. It's all over Zoom at the moment. I have taught different classes in person, but right now, the way I have it set up, I'm not quite ready to do, like I don't have a space right now. I mean, I guess there are people I could contact and different things I could do, but right now it's not quite set up for in person, if that makes sense. So maybe in the future, but I'm not right now. Shannon is asking, should they primarily be focused on channeling right now? I'd say yes, but also all of your intuition. In any way you feel called to it, maybe not just channeling, but I feel like your connection and is very important. Like in general, like honing in on your connection is very important. So the answer is like yes, and I suppose that's what I'd say here. Okay, I'm going to close the live in just a second here, but I wanted to say thank you again to everybody, and I appreciate all of you. And it's such an honor to get to do this, and I'm wishing you well. Hope you have an amazing rest of your evening or day or week, and I am going to head out now, I suppose, to the rest of my day. So thank you forever, Brandon. See you next Sunday. Hope you have the best week. You too, Destiny. Thank you so much. Thank you as well. Bye, everybody. So thank you to you and the community here. And I am wishing you well, and I will see you hopefully next week on a live or some other post or somewhere else. Okay, you guys take care.